welcome to Harper's HomeBhoys,
Oh,
which is going to be a technical disaster-free zone, right?
I doubt that.
Well, you can doubt all you like, but you're on. I don't know. I'm going to have to send you away to some course or something.
I've been on courses. And you know what the problem is? My computer is just packed up with so much stuff from work. I've got to clear it all out because I got a message the other day saying my disk was nearly full.
So anyway, we're here in the penthouse, the banks of the Boyne. I'm sitting half naked.
Harper sitting with his top off.
Joe can't concentrate. I've got my calves showing and everything. Calf implants. So obviously, as you hear and you heard probably if you caught the first wee bit there, I'm joined by Mr. Joe McKenna.
Yo.
Mr. Jason Higgins, you there, Jason?
I'm here, mate. Hell.
And Mr. Paul Larkin, you there, Paul?
You barely, yes, I'm here.
Paul's having a couple of wee difficulties hearing us, so I don't know.
Old age.
Maybe we could send them Braille or some Morse code. Could they?
To be honest, I'm having some difficulties now and all because I can't make a word you're saying.
What's going on? I'm ready just for sacking this and just drink my carry.
Whatever happened to the function where we could add Skype into Spreaker? Could that never take off?
No, this is it.
How's this a function? This is just the way it's always been.
This has always been. It's maximised. It's thing with speakers. Done its settings for. What do you call it?
I get it.
Skype to work. It's meant to be optimised. Anyway, Joe, you can take us away.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. If this show actually makes it any further than 15 minutes tonight, we are going to talk about the Helson board game last week and the phenomenal atmosphere that we all seen on TV. Well, not all of us. Some of us were actually there. Not us, but some of the people we know. Right? I've already ballsed this up, haven't I? And then we're going to talk about the Champions League draw. And then we're going to talk about the other draw, which was the draw with Hibs. It's like Casey Kasem, nice one, be. Ladies and gentlemen.
On another draw.
Another draw. Oh, yeah, the League Cup draw. I forgot about that. And we're just destined to meet the Huns at some point, aren't we?
No, they'll be big for one.
You think so? Ooh. What else are we going to talk about here on your lots of other things.
Paul's book launch. I think we might start with that.
Okay, let's go.
I've got a few other wee bits and pieces. So obviously the two boys, Paul, you had the big book launch on Saturday night. May as well start off with that, I think, while it's fresh in the memory. And what's the crack? How did that go, man?
So I only caught half of that, so
He's asking you about the book launch. I sort of caught that bit.
This isn't
about the book launch.
This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work.
Sounds like we're talking in code.
Listen,
book launch. What did he say? He said book launch.
I'm going to hang up the Skype and try and get you.
What you do is take it away and tell them about the book launch on Saturday while it's fresh in your mind.
Right, okay. It was great. It was a different way to the last time, obviously, because it was very raucous the last time to win the league and stuff. But I'm sure anybody's been involved in anything like this. There's loads of variables in these different things, and you can plan as much as you want, but you can never tell until the actual night. And that's where you get people like Leah, that Money Boy, coming into play, because he does most of the work behind the scenes, and then. He's the one who has to deal with all the headaches and all the kind of panicky owners and all that kind of stuff. And he did a grand job on Saturday, kind of keeping it ticking over. But in terms of the actual night itself, it was really excellent because met loads of new people, loads of people from Twitter, loads of really nice people. Even had a couple of people who came in and couldn't actually make the event but wanted to just buy a book, which I thought was really nice. So we started, Jason kicked us off as he always does, made a really funny speech, which a lot of people were kind of confused by because he'd done it sober. which was a new thing we tried. And I went on and done a bit of speech and that way doing quite well. It was I tried to vary it up a wee bit, and the venue, said to Jason earlier, the venue wasn't really conducive to that kind of audience stage type thing because there's blocks and there's nooks and crannies and all that kind of thing. But people, made the best of it. I tried to make the best of it and stuff. So we've done that, and then we then went on to a Q&A, which was pretty good. I think Q&A basically was kind of two parts, because the Q&A was effectively at start, an hour and a half into the night and that, and people were probably were pretty sober at the time, so, questions and all that were kind of less controversial maybe and stuff like that. And then we had the art dance come on, we'd done our usual storming set, really blew the roof off the place. And then during the course of the art dance, when I was kind of going and meeting people, talking to people and that, loads and loads of people were kind of like, I really wanted to ask a question, but I was too shy, or I didn't know this was going on, that was going on, I didn't know things like that. So we had another Q&A, which was far more adult, shall we say, and people were kind of more drunk, so they asked me kind of, off-the-wall questions and stuff, and that was a great laugh, and it gave me the opportunity to, big up people like Albert Kidd and all that kind of thing, and tell their stories for the day and stuff, so that was really good. And then that finished, and Big Davey over and over was fantastic with that. He really was one of the stars of the asking the questions. And then after that, I was interviewed by Luke Shamrock, as Jason had been earlier, Josh Gaffney and Steph O'Neill, who were all kind of part of the night, obviously. And we were all interviewed in a toilet, which was quite bizarre. And I obviously didn't see the video till this morning like everybody else, and it was a fantastically professional job that they've done, and really brought all that kind of stuff onto a new level, even the last time when they done it, and can't credit them enough for that. But also when I saw it, I beg your pardon, I didn't realise kind of how pissed I was when I got interviewed until I watched it. But all in all, it was a great night, just great feeling, a great vibe around it. Very humbling to have so many people come along and then have a reaction like it did after it, with loads of people saying nice things and all that kind of thing. And I just can't thank the people that come enough, because I'll always thank Jason because he's got a great input in things, and also always thank Liam because he's got so much work going on besides, and Steph for selling the raffle, and the Amadance for doing the brand, and all these people. By the end of the day, none of us could do our jobs if people weren't interested, and that's what make it. And they really gave me a really, really nice memory that was captured by the Luke Shamrock and will live with me for a long time.
Yep, I'd echo that, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And as I say, big up to Richard for the innovation and the videoing and the recording and stuff like that, because especially for you, Paul, I mean, it's your night, but it's everybody that makes it, and then with they guys doing the sort of recording for you as well, it leaves you a lasting legacy that you're never going to forget. You've always got it there.
Absolutely.
Aye, and it's really good, and loads of you say loads of stuff, and the thing that I said in my interview as well, and it's right. Everybody says, "Oh, I could write that book," and we all could write it, but you're the actual one that actually goes and does it. It's a fair play to you, and I thought it was because a lot of different people that were there. I thought it'd be much like the same crowd that was there the night we won the league, but I'd say there was a totally different audience. But very interesting stuff, and had a good blather with a load of them, and it was quite bizarre. Folk are up saying, "You're that guy from the radio." I'm not. But it was a good laugh, and excellent. I mean, the game didn't put a damp on me, because that was actually quite positive about the game anyway. I know we'll discuss that later.
Yeah.
But no,
it's funny you say about the game, because Ken, like everybody, before the actual event, like on the day, sort of night before, like I had Paul Montgomery Wade had come over from Luxembourg, and he was staying with me and stuff, and he was one of the sponsors of the night that included Beyond the Waves and the Bronx Boys, and it was basically them that were responsible for the fact there would be a band there and the fact that they had books to sell there. So, at that point when I picked up Paul in Edinburgh when he'd come in for the airport, people started tweeting me about, "Oh, are you nervous?" and "Are you thinking all that kind of thing?" And I think that anybody that's seen me doing sort of public speaking it's not a nervous thing for me at all. But like any event like that, it's what starts to keep away at you is, well, what if nobody turns up? Can you start to get all these doubts? And so, as I say, Jason said, by the game, obviously you're desperate to win the game anyway, but you all hope to win, because it might put people on a dampener if we did any kind of thing. I wasn't even conscious of this booing or no booing or whatever at the end of the game, because at that point all I was thinking about was the launch, all that kind of stuff. But as Jason says, I never noticed anybody in there who was on a downer because of the game. Most people were kind of like pretty pragmatic about it, and that's a credit to them, because it could easily have just been like, "Oh, sod this book launch, sod this Bandport night," because Celtic didn't win,
I was a wee bit surprised when I seen the video. I didn't know you were going to hire actors. to stand in for you. He's a good-looking guy. He's obviously they're actors or something. Stand-in body doubles or something, was it? Huh?
Good-looking guys. Josh, wasn't it me?
Did you see the same video I saw?
Right. I was still kind of drunk this morning when I watched it.
I thought that.
You want to watch yourselves in Belfast, lads? I tell you, Harper's obviously got an eye for the both of you.
Says Joe is.
But no, all credit to Richard and BJ Mac for the TikTok for doing that. I mean, that was excellent. I mean, everybody was there for a good drink. They were having a good drink as well, but it's quite a surreal experience. 3 guys in a toilet, gubbing red stripe and talking a lot of crap about Celtic.
I noticed they kept their faces off the camera anyway.
What was that, mate?
I'm saying I noticed they kept their faces off camera. BJ Mac.
Richard was on a bit of mine. To be fair, he's not got a face for the telly. No, he's better stick to the radio.
I mean, if his voice is when I picture his voice to his face, you're probably right enough. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I tell you, BJ Mac is. It's the first time in a while I've been in a toilet with a BJ, but that's another story.
Hey!
I tell you, BJ, I was quite stunned at how young he is. I must admit. I honestly thought his voice and his knowledge, and I thought he was about 40. I didn't realise he was only 14. Like, I was shocked.
Talking to ages.
I'm not joking, by the way.
Listen. Talking to ages. I sent in a question and it wasn't on the video. My question was, might as well ask it again, because I don't know what your reply was.
It was asked.
My question was, if we were both born in 1974, how come you look 10 years older than me?
Was that put up to you?
Oh, zing!
That was asked. Liam asked that on the night.
Because Liam asked me for a question. It was the only thing I could think of.
Basically, I honestly can't answer why the second part of it was videoed. I'm assuming it wasn't. I can't HomeBhoys, I need to tell you that. But I think, given the stories and stuff and the people that came up, because we had loads of people come up and ask questions at this point, much more confident and drunk. I think most of us, myself included, are quite glad that bit wasn't videoed.
Maybe as well, some people wouldn't be comfortable getting videoed at it either. Like, so I mean, that's fair enough. Like,
I mean, to be fair to Richard, and he had said this to me during the week, and I'm sure he said it to Jason and stuff, is that he said before it, is it okay if we first of all film the thing? And I said it's fine, and then he said, but because everybody we speak to and everybody put on, we'll talk to them and ask their permission first, like,
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was only one guy who desperately didn't try and get on the video because he was actually meant to be working. He'd phoned in sick. And I stupidly mentioned him on Sunday, but it was the way that they do it with Richard and BJ and that is I mean, I didn't think I'd put this. Let me say, I didn't think I could go to an event like that and drink like they do and all that and join in and then still be professional enough to film it and do it and all that kind of thing, because they really think through their questions, and not just to me, but I've seen it to Jason and others. It's not just off the top of their head, they're really thinking through. Apart from saying that Jason was talented, I could not believe he said that. Like,
here, is it true, Jason? Is it true you got recognised?
Aye, some lassie when I was walking down the stairs, she says, you're the guy, I know your voice. And she said, what she said to me, she says, do you know another thing? Because I even listened to that baseball shite. She said, I turned that on once, it was this baseball, so I just kept listening anyway because I thought the bar was quite good. I says, that's Harper you're thinking about him.
Well, I must say as well, like, I mean, I don't know, again, Jason's views, the amount of people that asked me if Harper was there and if Graham was there and Joe, and just everybody, that's involved in Hail Media, were all asked for and all say, tell them I'm asking for them and all that kind of thing, and it was a really, really warm feeling towards all that people really wanted to put across the message, we're really, really happy what you do, keep doing it, putting the message across and all that kind of thing, and, that's not just to me and Jason, that was both, Harper and Joe was mentioned to me 100 times as well, in all seriousness, so get your arse over the next thing.
Paul, there's maybe
absolutely, it was Harper, and just to reiterate that, I mean, see, loads of people coming up and talking about the show and all the other stuff, and the response it's getting just now is phenomenal, and I think just with the full Celtic fans against the media sort of thing, and this is the platform a lot of people are liking to use now, and it's definitely taking off, especially for last week's show. And
last week was a defining moment for HomeBhoys.
I must say, because I told you, I was in the Drover on Saturday before the game, and as soon as I walked in, that was the first thing that was mentioned to me was, "Where's Neil Lennon's biggest fan?" Somebody mentioned it during the game, and somebody mentioned it as I was walking along the road either. And that's brilliant, you know what I mean? Because it just gives you a great banter and all that kind of thing. And, you know, for anybody, I mean, you say, well, you know, whether you like the show, you hate the show, you like me, you hate me, or hate anybody else on it, at least you're listening to it, you know what I mean? And it's getting in, and you know, that was the kind of message we were trying to put across on the night, that, you know, we own the show, but it's a fan show. They make it, they phone in, whether you agree or disagree. Celtic fans are always welcome, you know.
It's great to hear, and I would say there's probably a good chance you'll get Worldwide Tim Parade sang live by the writer and creator at the next one.
Very, very drunk version of Worldwide Tim Parade, I'd imagine, in here.
Yeah, and we'll get it in Belfast at the end of the month, I'm sure.
Definitely. Probably just the other wee thing I'd have to say, just kind of echoing what you're saying about Richard and BJ Mack, but Richard's really coming on his own with this, the kind of new stuff he's doing. And I would say Chris McGuigan better watch, because his parquet, the Timternet crowns, it's in danger. Like, it's in danger for the new kid on the block. Like,
he's definitely making waves there up in Carluke, definitely. And they gave me a lift home in their minibus as well, with a good sing-song on the way home, so that was good too.
I got a lift home as well for a couple, so I was delighted. And I'll tell you something else, and I can't for the life of remember who this was. A tall guy, sort of, you know, kind of muscular tall guy, grey hair, who was at the do all night. As I walked out the do that night, he handed me a pizza. He said, "There you go, big man. There's a pizza for you." I was like, "Oh no, thanks for this great night and that kind of thing." So then I was offered a lift home. A couple was going to Edinburgh, so we jumped in the car. The car was parked in the Gallagate outside the Coronation Chippy, and I was kind of bowled over by it. Getting pizza and getting a lift home. This is fantastic. Get in the car, start driving. Oh, did you enjoy yourself? I was there. Bite into the pizza, and it was the spiciest thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. I always think that a fire extinguisher to put my mouth out. So whoever that was handing the pizza, that was a really, really nice gesture, but my medical will be in the post.
So, is there any last wee thing you want to add about the night, just before we get moved on to the football and whatever?
Just to, you know, again, just to thank everybody coming and say that there will be another Bandport night. We've already had discussions with Liam. Probably in late November. We're still trying to get dates that's suitable for everybody, because we know Jason and that's got to Lisbon, and then we know people have got to Barcelona. Didn't want to suit him, but we'll try and get something that's probably just a wee bit different to what we've done so far, to try and kind of evolve it on and make it even better. And as everybody says to me, we'll try everything and anything we can to get Harper and Joe there as well.
Well, I think me and Joe have already discussed it, and I think there's a good chance we'll definitely come across it.
Definitely.
Cool.
We have to get in on our egos need to be, you know, stroked.
Aye. Definitely. Not just my ego.
Jesus, as you sit here, bare-chested, I'm starting to freak out a bit.
That's the thing. I mean, you know, these kind of, it's not even moving you subconsciously like the cat in the bag, because having spoken to Jason and Saturday and Liam at length, I mean, seriously, we all say this. Apart from Harper kind of sort of DJing the thing for a HomeBhoys live show, we would love if Joe was the singer at the next event.
Alright, I'll be into that. I'll be into that.
Nah, seriously, we would pay Joe to come over and sing and kind of, you know, give that vibe and make it a proper, you know, HomeBhoys extravaganza.
I can sing as well. Like, I wrote a couple of songs last season.
Funnily enough, we never had any requests for you to come over and sing.
Damn.
I'll tell you what we could do. We could do like a Stars in Their Eyes thing. I could come out and be Harper, right? And then I could come out and meet Chris Kuyava and do Super Hooper. And then I'd come out as myself.
I had the final swan song anyway. I had the mic at the end and the place was bouncing, that's all I was saying.
Right, okay.
I seen a photograph of you with a mic in your hand. I don't like one of those Top of the Pops mics.
Should I not ask you what you were singing? Was it one of these Celtic Crazies songs?
No. I should say, actually, one thing, and Jason, we also presented George Gaffney with the voucher on behalf of Hail Media.
Yeah.
Oh, super.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely sad. I'll be honest, I forgot about it. Jason reminded me, ran back to the mic, Jason was there, and everybody's there, and we're shouting, right, we've got a wee presentation here, blah, 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 a wee surprise thing here, and Josh Gaffney, and nothing. Josh Gaffney, are you in the venue? Nothing. At this time, I'm shouting, everybody's looking at us, and Josh is standing turned his back behind the bar. And I'm like, there he's here. Josh Gaffney. The guy beside him taps him on the shoulder. Josh looks round and waves at me. And I was like, up on the stage. And then Jason took, representing him with the thing, Jason took over, he'd done a great speech, and he'd done a great promotion of Hail Media as well.
That's brilliant. No, but I have to say, if he hadn't responded after 3, for me, like the voucher would have been gone in my pocket. Right, so no, that's brilliant. To be honest, watching the video this morning, I was kind of gutted I wasn't there.
I had it on too this morning.
We'll definitely make every effort to make the next one, and we say it's the end of November, probably.
Aye.
So you kind of touched on it. So that's everybody's here to talk about football. So let's say Celtic game, Celtic 2, Hibs 2. I suppose I'm maybe just starting us off, Joe. I know, Joe, you only see bits of the game.
I seen bits and pieces. I was watching it. I was at the Aviva to see the Navy Notre Dame match, but I had it on my laptop in front of me. But I couldn't see for the sun, and I had all these Americans screaming in front of me as well. So I seen bits and pieces of it.
And you were drinking heavily.
I wasn't drinking heavily. I had a few pints of Guinness.
Drinking heavily in the press box. That's getting HomeBhoys.
But that's the thing about the American football. In the American football, everybody was drinking in the press box.
I was drinking at the Dublin Cups. Right, so anyway, looking at the team, Foster, Lustig, Matthews, Wilson, Izagiri, Forrest, Wanyama, Twarzik, McCourt, Watt and Hooper. I don't think there was really any surprises in the lineup, considering the players that are available at the minute, with the people that are injured. There was no doubt Scott Brown was going to drop back out the side. Commons, I think, was struggling with a knock for the away leg in Helsingborg. He only just made the home tie, so it made sense for him to go on the bench. So I think that was probably as strong a starting lineup as we could expect. I think Rogney was out injured as well. First half, I thought we were excellent, man. The only negative you could say coming out the first half, it was only 1-0 at half time. Hooper hit the woodwork twice. Wanyama had 2 good chances. Tony Watt had one he put past the post. I mean, could easily have been 4-5 up at half time. Big Wanyama goes off injured half time. Jackson Irvine come on to replace him, and we just kind of lost impetus then. And let's not take anything away for Hibs either. Hibs decided to have a go at us. I don't know if it was so much they just says, Pat Fellon says, right, it's only 1-0, you're still in this, you might as well go for it. Or they looked at Wanyama going off and seen maybe we're a wee bit weak in the midfield with Twarzik, Irvine, McCourt, Forrest. It's not exactly a powerful midfield, that. You know what I mean? They're more kind of skillful players rather than physical players. So I don't know if that just gave Hibs the wee kind of impetus, as I say, to kick on, and they really put us under pressure. And I think when they equalised, the goal was coming. Like, do you know what I mean? We went 2-1 up, 2-2 again. I mean, I don't think Hibs deserved the point, I would say, but gutted at the end to drop 2 points. But I didn't feel too negative. I felt it was good. It was as good a team we could have put out, and I felt it was good experience for the likes of Irvine coming on. Twarzik getting another game under his belt. Watt finally getting a start at Celtic Park, because it's been like away games he's been playing mostly. So it's nice for him to get playing in front of a big crowd, right? You forget how young these guys are, right?
Yeah.
See, when you were 18, 19, Jason, right? You remember going to your first job when you were 18? You were going. I went into my first.
Or something like that.
You went into your first job crapping yourself, and you were crapping yourself for weeks. And that isn't doing it in front of 50,000 people, like, you know what I mean? So it's all experience for these young guys. I don't know, like Jason, Paul, you were at the game, obviously. Jason, what was your take on Saturday?
A bit similar to yourself. I thought at the end of the first half I was waiting, it was going on win about 3-4-0. Hibs hadn't really turned up, and I thought we were on easy street. When Yama getting off, it's certainly a big loss for us, because to me he's our best player. So he goes off at half time, you bring the young boy Jackson Irvine, who, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know anything about him. And he comes on, and we sort of lost our way a bit. Hibs get back in, and it's a defensive blunder for, I think it was Lustig. And so they make it 1 each, but then we go back up the park and we're sort of doing alright. But I suppose it was a terrible goal for Hibs' point of view to lose. The keeper totally spilled it, and then it was a Lustig slid in again, but I'm sure McPake or something like that put it in his own net. It was like an own goal. Yeah. And then we looked as if our happy days were gone again, but then again another good goal for Hibs. And alright, was it Matthews? He nutmegged. I think he nutmegged Matthews or whatever. And the young boy finished it brilliant, you know, and it was right in front of him support. And to be fair, I thought they brought a decent support through with him as well, compared to what it has been in previous years. But then after that, again, you know, we battered them. You know, we went right through. Twarzig hits one over the bar. It's still travelling now, I think. And Paddy McCourt done an amazing run. I think if he'd just played it out on the left, I think it was maybe wee Forrest was waiting there, he'd have put it in. Mm-hmm. But he's had a good chance himself. He's put it past the post. But as you say, in the first half, Tony Watts missed a good chance. We've had the woodwork a couple of times, but we could have won that game easy. But Hibs deserve a draw maybe in their second half performance. You know, I'd say probably we deserve to win, but you can't really grudge them a draw. And the way they came out the second half, fair play to them. And I think Pat Fenlon's maybe turning them around a wee bit. Maybe it's a bit early in the season, but they look as if they've got a wee bit about them for that second half performance. First half they were awful, but he did change it at half time and they sort of came at us and they had a go. So, you're disappointed we didn't win, but am I gutted? No way. When you look at the team we've got, and you look at the bench as well, I mean, the Celtics lost 17 players for the start of the season. For the end of last season, I think 17 players have been moved out, a lot of them on loan. But and we've got the two new boys upgraded at half time, and then we got another new signing as well. So, I'm feeling positive. But granted, I don't know much about new signings, but signing that guy Lassad Niu or whatever how you pronounce his second name for Deportivo, fair enough. We'll get the guy, the Venezuelan guy, and so where did see that Lassad? Where's he come from? Is he North African?
I can't remember, man. I can't remember.
Boy for Deportivo.
Joe's going to look it up.
Aye, he's where does he come from?
Tunisia.
He's Tunisian.
Tunisia, aye, so he's North African, and then the other boy Venezuelan, and then the Nigerian guy Ambrose. So we've got Miku and Ambrose, and Ambrose has got 12 caps with Nigeria, and the boy, by all accounts, the Venezuelan guy, he's meant to be a player and a half.
There's five of the night's quiz questions just been answered in the last minute. I was taking it positive. So that we've got a young team and fair play to them, and Leo Lennon's given them a chance. Why not? Paul, just looking at Jason mentioned the equalising goal being Lustig's fault. I seen it as a bit of a 50-50. I think it maybe came down to the fact that Lustig's he's not a centre half. He's not used to playing there anyway. I think the onus is on Lustig to clear the ball, but he's had a shout for the keeper and he's left it. But for me, I think a tight situation like that, the keeper can see the game in front of him, so he should just be telling him clear that. Lustig, for me, a good centre half, experienced centre half, will just take the onus on himself to just boot it out the park.
I mean,
Do you know what I mean?
He got the shout, you could see that. I mean, I thought Foster's attempt to clear it was really poor. But he would almost say it was cowardly because he seen Clancy coming at him, and he sticks his hand out, and Clancy just bombards right through. And that's Clancy's first goal in professional football, so it's not like Henrik Larsson coming at you. I kind of echo with most of the stuff I would say. I mean, the second goal scored by Paul Kearney. I've seen a lot of Paul Kearney for Partick Thistle. He's capable of doing that. He'll be a good player for Hibs. I tell all the Hibbies I know that during the summer that Kearney's got a lot of ability. He's a wee bit like a poor man James McFadden now. He's got the ability to score great goals and turn games when he fancies it. First half, Christ, I mean, we should have been 5 or 6 to hand up. I mean, Hibs were not even at the races. I think they had one half-hearted effort for Griffiths. Second half, the centre midfield weak when Wanyama went off primarily because Wanyama was dominating. Hibs have got the boy Deegan can put himself about. I think that was one of Fenlon's kind of priorities in the summer was to get somebody in the centre of the park that could mix it a wee bit. He's come in, he's kind of stepped it up a wee bit. I've got a bit more belief as anybody would do for getting such a batter in the first half and only being 1-0 down. And did they deserve a point? I wouldn't say they probably deserved a point, but fair play to them for having a go. They did bring a decent support for a change. And as we were talking about on Saturday and stuff, if you want a competitive league, these are the games. I thought sometimes the crowd was a wee bit jittery, on the back seat. The players, and it's at times like that. I mean, I wouldn't criticise people for not going to the game because it's, Celtic fans are paying out left, right, and centre at the minute for, the Champions League tickets and games we're playing and the season ticket deposits and all that kind of thing. And I know people were criticising the crowd, but there's still 44,000 people there, and we should be able to kind of, back the team, particularly as you mentioned, Harper, the young guys, because I totally echo what you're saying. I mean, it's any situation. I mean, I'm doing a couple of days at college to supplement my work this week, and it started last week, and I was a bit nervous about going into that for the first day and that. So as you say, to go out and try and perform in front of 44,000 people, you really want them on your side. So I hope that the fans can recognise that, because I actually think Celtic is doing a good thing here with young players. You know that there is slightly less pressure on you in this league this season. There's no question about that. We've dropped points in 2 games, and nobody's really panicking. Whereas, previous years we would have been like, oh my God, this is a disaster. We can blood young players. We can blood young players. We can give them experience in competitive games, and whilst we can try and make some astute signings for decent money and stuff, we can put the basis of a whole new team in there before there should be any proper challenge to us, in the very near future.
See, when I said earlier that I felt Hibs deserved a point, I'm kind of going on the fact that, and I'm not going on possession and chances created and that, because I mean, as you say, I said myself, we should have been 5-0 up, or could have been 4 or 5-0 up at half time. I just felt we never took our chances, so then Hibs really kind of went for it the second half. So right, Liam, we're just no. I don't know. I'll answer that the chat in a minute. I'm just saying, I just felt that they went for it in the second half.
What are you talking about here, by the way?
I lost track of that completely.
Sorry, I just got a message. Joe just put me off by pointing me. Somebody said in the chat room that we're as bad as Clyde because I didn't want to discuss the Phil McGillivray and Sun situation tonight. Which for me, it's just not something we want to talk about. But they want to talk about the Sun because it's an absolute scumbag newspaper.
That's up to them. The guy's got a life to lead, and I don't talk about any of that here. It's about Celtic.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not to talk about it in the show tonight, right? I'm not want to publicise that stramash any further and have arguments about it, because I know that's going to have arguments, and I know there's people with strong feelings about the Sun and stuff like that involved with the show. So if that makes us as bad as Clyde, well, that's us as bad as Clyde. We'll be as well hanging up, Liam, because we'll not be discussing it. So I'm just what I was saying about the Hibs. They went for it in the second half. So I think they kind of deserve to get someone out of the game. We're always bemoaning teams coming to Celtic Park and not trying to have a go. And if that's what we're going to get more of this season, I'm all for it, 'cause it's going to make it a much more exciting league than the doomsayers were predicting. I don't know yourself, Joe.
This is what we said, though. Remember the end of last season, we were saying, if this happens, it'll be good for football. Like for the actual football players in Scotland. And it's proven already to be that. The football's good. I haven't not been entertained from watching a game. You know what I mean? It's been great. It's nowhere near the Armageddon that was predicted, and I really hope it just gets better and better and better. You know what I mean? Because and the funny thing is, I'm seeing a lot online now. A lot of people, even when Hearts are playing in Europe against Liverpool, even Celtic fans are kind of watching in to see what happens, because people care about Scottish football now again. They don't care about Celtic and Rangers. You know what I mean?
Do you know I found? I think it was me and my good mate Johnny Mackay, one of the Carluke boys. We were talking, and his brother Joe. We were in the pub before coming down to your night, Paul, and he says, "When are Newco playing?" And none of us knew, and we didn't even know who they were playing, and we didn't know what day they were playing. And do you know when I found out their score? I found out their score the day at work. I didn't even check it. I didn't interest in it because it doesn't directly affect us anymore.
No, I found out this morning when I was working this morning on the computer.
I've just sort of erased it from my mind. It's happened seamlessly.
It's great though.
It's just sort of gone.
see when it's funny you say that, because I was actually thinking about this on the day the transfer window shut. That was the first time I'd actually thought about the Tribute Act football team in weeks, because it kept popping up on Sky that they were at Murray Park and your man Templeton would maybe be going there, and this, that, and the other might be happening. It's the only time I'd kind of thought about them for weeks, apart from trying to put that wee thing that wasn't very funny for the show. Remember Huns on the Run? But they just, as you say, you just didn't. They're not part of your bubble anymore. Do you know what I mean? They just didn't count.
But the thing is that you can tell by the players who are joining. Now you know who are really Huns. They're willing to go to these extremes to join this football team. You go, oh yeah, we had our suspicions about you, but now we know.
And the funny thing is as well, I didn't understand, maybe we can just touch on this quickly, in the League Cup today, the draw. And I'm delighted Raith Rovers got the tie against us, and they'll pick up a decent bit of money for that. That's right, because they still share the gates in the cup. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And by all accounts, there's a big effort by the Raith Rovers fans to come to this game for that very reason, because the switched on ones on social media and that, they appreciate the fact that Celtic fans and other fans, to be said, went to Raith Rovers games at the start of the season and in pre-season, and I went to one myself, and they're like, well, it's only fair that we then go to Celtic Park, now we've got this platform. So I think that touches on what Joe says. There is a definite, as Joe said, I've seen it myself, even with guys with Hearts, we're kind of like, we probably despise Hearts, and we all probably despise Hearts, but for the bigger picture, we're kind of like, well, we did something decent against Liverpool, and I think most people were kind of like, you know what, didn't like Hearts, never like Hearts, but they weren't a disgrace, and it wasn't too bad,
Yeah.
Just briefly on the League Cup draw, right? We got Raith Rovers and the Tribute Act got Motherwell. I was looking at the draw. I didn't know that the League Cup had started getting seeded a couple of years ago. What is that? Surely that's putting. It's harder for a smaller club like the Tribute Act to progress if they're guaranteed to get a big team in the draw. What is that all? Because I tried to be smart, sending out a tweet, right, saying see every SPL team got drawn against a minnow, sort of thing, right? Yeah. And then somebody told me I was seeded, so it was bound to happen. But what was the point of seeding a cup draw in Scotland?
For what I understand, this is a Scottish Football League, obviously, it's the cup. It's a good income stream for the Scottish Football League if they're not playing each other. If they get to that round that's been seeded and the European teams come in and all that, they want guaranteed an income stream, and that's why they were happy for it to be seeded.
It seems because you think that the easiest way for a small team to get a run is the fact that they maybe keep playing other small teams, and the big teams are going to knock each other out.
I have to say though, it's only seeded in this round.
Right, aye.
This is the only round it's seeded in.
I honestly never knew that.
After that, it's a free for all.
And the actual thing that I was wanting to bring up about that is because when we're talking about the Tribute Act not having any sort of bearing on us anymore, right? I would quite happily not play them for as long as they're not in the same league as us. I hear people saying, if we get them, we'd hump them 7-1. That 7-1 needs to be better. It needs to be 8-1 or 9-1, right? Yeah. Against them, right? Well, it'll not be because we've never played this team before for a start, right? So you can forget about bettering the record against them because we've never played this team before, right? Plus, I didn't want their fans to have anything better to look forward to than away days at Elgin and Berwick. Why should they get to look forward to come to play a team in the Champions League? What's that? You know what I mean? So I hope Motherwell's the biggest team to play this season, and then Motherwell will knock them out anyway.
Can we offer to play them in like a fundraising friendly?
No, what's that? FIFA.
I tell you what, I'll be honest, I would have serious reservations about playing any game they're involved in. And even if it's against Celtic or no, because I just didn't want, I think that without going into any great detail, I think the whole thing is a charade that's going to collapse soon. But, I didn't see why. Look, see when you talk about people saying, we'd thrash them and all that. I'll tell you, we wouldn't.
No, I know.
And the reason we wouldn't is for what you just said. This would be the be-all and end-all for them.
Yeah.
And we've already seen the help the SFA are giving them by putting a fourth official there to make sure they get their decisions when the other club in the division gets that. So what help would they get against us if they ever got us in a cup?
No, forget them, man. Listen.
But you can't say there's not a sneaking suspicion in the back of your head that it's going to happen.
Well, I was just thought I fell asleep when the draw was getting made, and I just thought I would wake up to Celtic versus the Tribute Act in the next round of the cup. But I just hope we never play them again ever. So I mean, we've never played them ever because this is a new team. I keep forgetting it. That keeps slipping my mind. And I just hope we never do play them. There you go. That's
we need there needs to be like an emergency banner in waiting just in case.
Right. So anyway, we've been joined on the line by our roving reporter in Slovakia, Snake Polskin. Are you there, man?
I'm there, pal. How are you?
Not too bad, man. What was it you want to add to the nonsense?
See if they're a tribute act, does that make them Bjorn again?
Yay! Oh, bucket of fish.
I'm here all week,
No, let's show you.
No, I was just saying earlier on, you were talking about the players that Celtic have brought in, and you failed to mention the Slovak goalkeeper who's on loan at Celtic now.
Well,
That's right, absolutely.
I actually have a segment to talk about the new signings. Jason kind of brought it in at the Hibs discussion, so I was coming back to it, to be fair. I've got it in my notes here in front of me.
Do you want me to go off for a bit and then I'll come back?
No, we can go straight to that now, man.
Far away, Snake.
Harple have nothing wrote about third choice Slovak goalie, that's for sure.
Here, Jason, all it says in the page is new signings.
Aye.
On you go, Snake, let us hear about him.
Well, before I go into that, just on the tribute act, see when you go to see like a tribute act, as we all know, they all turn out in the same gear and they all sing the same songs. So tribute act pretty much is the same thing, isn't it?
Aye.
And all the tribute acts you see, like especially Elvis, they always portray them in their worst light. Elvis always a fat Elvis, at the worst time in his career that people pay a tribute to, So
Fat Elvis.
I think that's what they've done, basically go to the lowest common denominator.
Right. Sounds good.
But you know what I was going to say about that? See you were saying we hope we never get them. See the way that they're getting dodgy decisions. It's inevitable they're going to get to the latter stages of cup.
Yep.
And that's when we're going to end up bumping into them at some point.
I think so too. That's what I think is going to happen. I think if it's not the quarter-final, it may be the final.
I seriously think they're at home right enough against Motherwell, but I mean they're struggling to beat these teams, Berwick and Elgin.
I know, but you think like even when they're playing Motherwell in the cup, they're still going to be out to prove that they're an SPL standard side.
No matter, forget about them. Anyway, come on, Snake, give us the lowdown on the Slovak, man.
Right, well, I was out on Saturday night with my pals, because one boy, he's a soldier and he's just away to Cyprus for a year, but he's back on shore leave, if you see what I mean. And I was out with him and this boy's just away, well, with his wife, and he's a huge Spartak Trnava fan. He's a really big football fan. He's been to Celtic Park, he's been to Ibrox, believe it or not, to watch Oldco when it was at Media Bratislava, because he was there with a pal. He was there to see the Celtic at Media Bratislava game, and he said to me, see if that game had gone on for 10 more minutes, Celtic would have won 6-0. That's just him. But he was talking about this boy, said, did you see that you signed? I said, yeah. I'd gone out on a Friday night, like about 11 o'clock, and then get home the next day and seen Celtic had signed this player. And I said, well, what's he like? And he said, he's a really good young goalkeeper. He's only 24, 25. He's from the town of Trnava, and he's moved to Nantes, and he was put back on loan to Trnava last year, basically because he couldn't, get a game, because there's been a lot of upheaval at Nantes. They've been relegated up and down, and he can't get a full-time place. He was on loan to Sparta Prague as well, and on loan to Sivasspor, which doesn't sound all that good, but when he moved back to his homeland last year, he played 15 games and kept 11 clean sheets in 15 games, which is a record, I think, in this league. And he said what the boy needs is he needs a run to show what kind of good keeper he is. He is young and he needs the exposure. But the way he was talking about him, and I know as fans we can be blinkered and all that, but he said this guy basically was one of the reasons why Trnava finished as far up the league as they did. And I was saying to a few boys, I posted some stuff on Beyond the Waves on the Facebook page, just because I'd heard them saying that I would default the lowdown, so you guys are getting the exclusive, as it were. But the boy apparently has very good shot stopping ability. He's got a lot to learn, obviously, because he's not an older goalkeeper. But we could find ourselves here with a wee gem. Now, Spartak wanted to buy him for €2 million, but that was the asking price Nantes wanted. But basically, Spartak don't have €2 million because no Slovak team pays out €2 million for a player because it's not that affluent a league, as you see what I mean. But I'm hoping that the guy can come out and make a decent impression, because see, at the end of the day, Fraser Forster's been talked up an awful lot, and see, if we were to be mandated with a bid for Fraser Forster, it would be no a bad thing to see this boy. We do have an option to buy him, and I think €2 million, it's kind of Peter Lawwell's dream amount of money to pay for a player. So keep your eyes peeled. Let's hope the boy gets some chances in the games in the forthcoming months,
Well, do you know what, man? And to take it back to the League Cup ever so briefly, my mantra for the last 2 years with the League Cup is Celtic should just be sending out our next generation team or the development squad, whatever you want to call them. I'd just be, especially now we're Champions League, we've got bigger fish to fry, right? I would just forget about the League Cup. I know it gets you a treble. Trebles come along very rarely, right? I would just put the youth team out in the League Cup, and that would be an ideal place, certainly, for your man to get a few games. I don't know what you think about that, Lee.
Well, I think so, 100%. Also, if we're going to need Fraser Forster for Champions League games, and I mean, look at Saluska, he's not that young anymore. He's 30, 32. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be there forever. I know he's signed an extension, but he's there as cover, and that's the way he's kind of looked at. But this boy does fit our model. Young, not relatively well, not that well known, and has a chance. Now, the Slovak goalkeepers are actually pretty good, but they're like this boy. They're not getting the chances of games because there's Jan Mocha who used to play for Legia Warszawa, but he's now at Everton. He's sitting on the bench doing nothing at all. I mean, really, the way my pal talked about this boy has got it, and I would really hope that, you know, 'cause I was talking to another guy and he said, "Oh, he's not that good and all that," but my pal definitely, he knows his football. He knows a lot about football, and he talks. When we do meet up, we end up talking for hours about football in English, which is good for him. And I really do hope that we've found ourselves a boy here that we can pick up. And if a bid was to come in for a Fraser Forster, we've got hopefully. I mean, I say to a few guys, this might be hyperbole, but this could be Arthur Boruc's Mark II, you know.
The thing with Zajuska though is he's just signed a brand new contract. I don't know how many years it was for, but he just signed a new contract at the end of last season. So he's going to be the number 2 this season. I've no doubt about that. Like.
Aye, I think so. But why sign another keeper? This is the thing that I didn't get. Why are we getting a boy like this on loan for a year if we're not interested in getting him?
Well, if you're in the Champions League, you've got 3 keepers. You've only got 2 keepers. You get an injury to one of them, you're in bother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's true.
Especially with, as you say, we're fighting on all fronts this year. Big games, Champions League. I mean, but look at the story of Scott Brown. Bobby Lennox on Twitter. No, the Bobby Lennox, like at Bobby Lennox on Twitter, who I know is a good friend of yours, Jason. Says he said, no, it wasn't Bobby Lennox, somebody else. No, it was Graham in the chat room. Sorry, I'll come back to Bobby Lennox tweet later. Graham in the chat room says, "What about Scott Brown? Degenerative hip injury there, right? He's only going to play in the Champions League, probably." Neil Lennon says. So I mean, we are going to have things like that crop up where we're going to have players like Scott Brown only playing in the Champions League because they're not going to be as important this season in the SPL. Let's not kid on.
Is that a good thing though? Because I mean, you get teams coming to watch you play, and your main midfielder pulling the strings isn't playing week in week out, so they have no idea how he plays.
That's a good thing. Eh?
I'm just saying.
Is this a worry about Scott Brown? Because
it's a worry for me.
I'm a bit worried about this, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm the same.
If this is a degenerative hit, then
is this like a form of arthritis sort of thing?
Aye, I mean, I don't know what it sounds like anyway, but I couldn't see him playing beyond this season. If that's what it is, I don't know what it is, but if that's what it is, I mean that's a career-threatening injury.
Well, what the description of that was, Neil Lennon was saying, what he meant by that was he could still play on, but it was degenerative, as in it'd be getting worse, and eventually he'll need to go and get an operation on it. For me, I know he's an important player to the team, and he is an important player. He's the captain of the team, and we do kind of need him for the Champions League, I suppose. But if it's a career-threatening thing, I don't think they'd be taking risks with Scott Brown if it's career-threatening. Because if that was the case, they should just shut him down now and get the operation over and done with, and then have him when we need him. Do you know what I mean? Because we've got a big enough squad. We've got players to come in and take Scott Brown's place.
But you're talking about getting an operation. A professional football player can't get like a hip replacement, can they?
Well, I don't know. I think when he's saying degenerative, which I keep struggling to say, I've only had one and a half cans. I just think he meant that it's whatever's wrong with it is slowly going to get worse with playing games. So that's why they're going to limit his game time. and eventually it'll come to a stage where it's got so bad that they need to then have an operation done on it. I don't think it means that it's a thing like what we're kind of saying is as serious as that. That's not my take on it anyway.
By all accounts, I heard a couple of people saying that on Thursday he actually could not walk.
I heard that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's kind of. I think we discussed this on the show in the summer, one of the summer shows, where Scott Brown seems to need an operation or something every summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just is it the style of play? You know, he probably covers 6 or 7 miles in every game, no question about it. You know, is it that does it? I don't know, but it's really worrying that he just always seems to be an operation away from getting fit.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a worry because we notice it when he's not there. We definitely miss him when he's out. So you can understand Neil Lennon's thinking that we need this guy for the Champions League. But for me, for the money that we have invested in Scott Brown, eventually, is he going to stay at Celtic for the rest of his career? I don't know. But they had a chance there in the window. We could have got somebody in for his position, his type of player, to fill that role if we thought it was that bad, and we could have just shut him down now. I mean, I know we've got Kayal, and we've got Ledley, and we've got Wanyama, but if you're saying you want somebody exactly in the mould of Scott Brown, well, maybe they could have went out and looked for a guy like that. I don't know, but for me, I said it last week, I didn't think Scott Brown would have played against Helsingborg last midweek. I said it last Monday. I just feel that we should shut the guy down until he's ready. But obviously it's more than... I thought the injury at that time was just something that you maybe just have to sit out for a month to get better. This is a thing that's going to require an operation.
I looked up degenerative hip disease and I got osteoarthritis, which it doesn't say there's any sort of cure from. It just says it's something that you get majorly over 50s. Now, obviously, this is doctor bullshit here doing the diagnosis. I mean, I'm getting this off the internet.
I think what I think is here. I think this is a miss. I think Neil Lennon said that. Honestly, I think Neil Lennon said this wrong. Because when he described it, it was more about the fact that the injury was going to become degenerative.
Okay.
So I mean,
it's a poor choice of words then.
It's a poor choice of words.
I just close this down. I just think it's something.
I just think I could be wrong, right? But I took it as something that's going to get gradually worse.
I was just a couple of minutes away from writing him off as a cripple.
No, I don't think it's anything like that. So just still on the new signings. Obviously, we had Miku Fedor, Ambrosia Cream Rice, and what's the other boy? And Wee. I don't even know. I don't know how we're supposed to say his name. Miku.
Ambrose.
And what's the other guy? And Wee.
Lassad Hassan.
He goes with Lassad on his top anyway, so we can just forget about his surname.
Listen, the less I've said about that, the better.
Oh, Jesus. So, does anybody know anything at all about any of these three players? And on top of that as well, were you happy when the transfer window closed? Were you happy with the players that came in? And I suppose you could probably, we never found out until Saturday that we got Lassad. But were you happy with Miku coming in, the goalkeeper, and Ambrose? I mean, were you happy with that? Jason, come to you first.
Well, I'm unsure because I think obviously the model we've got just now is you're hunting about for bargains and stuff like that. So I'm hopeful, and going with our past experiences, I reckon probably two of them will turn out to be good. We've normally got maybe a bit of for every Rasmussen we've got a Kayal, for every Wanyama, we've got some other donkey. But
Bangura.
We've got a Bangura for a Wanyama.
For every Jason we've got a Paul, for every Joe we've got a Harper.
Hey.
Well done. It's one of these ones. No, I've been reading some reviews about them. I'm hopeful, so here's hope. But I'm happy with the model. Signing these guys are buying $8 million. And then he's gone for a championship team, another championship team for £8 million. You're like, what's that all about?
Mm-hmm.
So, no, absolutely. And I put my faith in Peter Law and John Park with regarding the signing policy, and I'm happy with it. So at the end of the day, Law gets a lot of stick for some people in Hail Media as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think I need sort of back the guy up here. What I'm saying is with the the Champions League prices as well. I think Celtic have been absolutely fantastic for that. 84 quid for me for 3 games. Barcelona, Benfica and Spartak Moscow at home, and I'm paying 84 quid. I mean, I'd pay 84 quid for the Barcelona game. So, I'm happy with that. And the signings, we'll need to give it a go. Neil Lennon's breeding the kids as well. We've got some good kids coming through the youth academy. No, it's happy days for me.
For me, Jason, we spoke about it. We wanted a centre back and we wanted a striker minimum. So we got a centre back and we got 2 strikers, and we got the bonus a third choice or second choice goalkeeper, however you want to look at it. But I think the most important thing for me was Neil Lennon seemed to be pretty excited with the fact that he got the guys that he wanted. I think maybe the Belgian boy was his first choice striker, and then they upped the price seemingly when we qualified for the Champions League. But I think he certainly got guys that he wanted in the door this time, especially with the centre half. And
see what I love as well, the media had no clue who we were going for. see the bump that every one of them had wrote in the last few weeks. Sorry, I mean, they just know nothing. Whatever Celtic's doing, they don't know anything until it actually happens, and I love that because it must send them batty. See the exclusives they had in the paper. Every day there was something new, and just a lot of nonsense. Not one quote for anybody. And then Celtic just pull these 4 players at the heart. Brilliant.
To be fair, if they'd went on the message boards the night before, they would have got the Ambrose story. Like Mark McGlone was tweeting it.
Well, you're talking about the night before.
I know exactly what you're saying, man. We do our business the right way. None of us really know exactly what's happening. We had stories. I'm not going to name him because he's let us down so many times before with his transfer exclusives.
Vincent the Parrot.
I said I wasn't going to name him, but I never said you could. He told us Christoph Berra and Canway Johns had both had medicals the day before. You know what I mean? So Vincent, if you're listening, you've had it, son. That's 3 in a row.
Get 4 it in, pal. Get 4 it in.
3 strikes, you're right.
That's 3 in a row.
Just a quick. We're just reading here on Lassad's wiki, and very interesting facts. It says after some good overall performances on 13th of February 2009, Lassad signed a professional contract with Deportivo, committing himself to the club to 2012. However, he was fined by the club for wearing a shirt under his jersey, displaying his hatred for the Scottish football team Rangers FC. That's how you mess up a wiki.
Boys, can I jump in for 2 seconds?
Go ahead, David.
Yes, David.
Very briefly before I make my point or ask my question, I don't know if we're going to talk about it later, but it was a great night on Saturday, so thanks to everybody, Paul and Jason and that, and I got to meet Vincent the Parrot and Simmy and average Joe Miller, so it was a class night.
That's the side of man Davey is, by the way. We're back to messing with Davey, I'll tell you.
Well, you would have known that, Jason, if you'd been for the last one, because Davey was there.
There you go. Well, that's what that was my opening speech as well. I says the last one was unforgettable, but I just wish somebody would remind me about it.
Just about the transfer window. I'm really pleased with I don't know much about the goalkeeper. It was good that the lad that stays in Slovakia came on there. But the 3 outfield players, the key thing for me is we've added pace where we most needed it in the team. I go on about Rogner a lot being the best centre half at the club, but pace is one thing he lacks. The 2 forwards we've signed, the Tunisian lad can play sort of, I think, wide, almost, I don't want to say it, but almost Samaras-esque. So I think pace is the main thing. The only disappointing thing for me, especially considering we're in the Champions League, is that with Key going and with my favourite Paddy hardly getting a game at that level, we don't really have a class passing midfielder and somebody will take possession properly, take control of it. Again, that's my only sort of worry, you know.
Do you think maybe Chris Commons could fill that role, coming inside, maybe playing off the strikers, certainly at home, maybe?
Oh, I definitely could, and also, I would play Paddy in that position, but yeah, obviously Commons is ahead of Paddy in the pecking order, according to Neil. He definitely could, but even there, even more so, you know, I've said before about Paddy playing quite deep next to Victor, and that's where I think in Europe he would have played for us. And I mean, Joe Ledley's a good player. I really like Joe Ledley, but I don't think he's that type of player that I'm thinking about that can control the tempo of a game, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But that was that, boys. I'm just interested in what you thought about that, and I'm going to shove off and listen to you now. All right, cheers, boys.
Cheers, Dave. Listen, David, we might have a quiz later if we have time. So you're welcome to jump back in as the loser the last time.
All right, I'll phone back.
Right, so see if we get time. See if we get time near the end of the show, man.
No bother. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, David.
Cheers, David.
Cheers.
Paul, I'll bring you in then just before we get to the aforementioned Vincent, who's now joined us, obviously probably to defend his honour.
He's going to do a Harry Redknapp and talk in his car window, isn't he?
Paul, what was your take on the transfer window and the dealings that we've done, and probably some of the players that went out as well? We've not really touched on. I think we got rid of a lot of dead wood at the window. Bangura, Murphy, Blackman's a way to get some experience with Inverness on loan for the season, which will do him a world of good. Paul, what was your take on the transfer comings and goings?
I mean, I'm kind of in the same position as Maester. You know, a lot of the guys that have come in, but pedigree looks good on the two strikers, and from what I've seen in Red Up one, seem to be different types of styles for the ones that we've got there now. So that's good. The boy Ambrose looks like he's got pace and presence, which I think David touched on there is absolutely vital for our defence. We're desperate for somebody like that. And I agree with what David says here. I do think we need somebody who can pass the ball in midfield. I mean, just on a tiny tangent, Man United were getting battered and were struggling in that, and they brought on Scholes to pass the ball in half an hour on 1-3-2. You can't underestimate how important that is in the Champions League. You had the ball.
Yeah,
possession is absolutely everything in the Champions League. You lose it, you're dead. And on the guys that went out, I mean, I think it's, we've talked on this programme a million times. It's nobody's buying anybody these days. It's all loan deals and stuff. So Bangura, Murphy, I think Celtic would have been happy to sell both of them. I think there was people trying to get Stokes out the door and all that. I don't think that would have been a good choice in it, because I still think there's plenty more to come for him. And I want to see guys getting experience in that. I mean, we've got the Next Generation series thing starting, I think, next week, and that's going to be at Firhill, and I mean, that'll be a culture shock for some of the Sporting Lisbon guys in that. But I like the way things are going. I mean, I suppose if you were to be really negative, you could say, is that all? We spent about £1.2 million, and we were kind of told there was two budgets for the Europa League and the Champions League. You think, Christ, what would the Europa League budget have been? Because the club financially must be in a fantastic position now. Especially if these guys, as Jason says, if we can get two of these guys come good, which I think is a fair balance given the market that we're in now. Then with the youth we've got coming through, and the money we've got coming in, and the money they told us, the key money paid the debt off, the club's in a really, really financially strong position. And perhaps if we can get into the Champions League again and again and again, be in a position maybe just to move up one level of the transfer market, and be able to maybe take less of a gamble on these players. Mm-hmm. But I like certainly from what I've seen on paper, and that's not much, but I like what we're trying to do. I can see what Neil Lennon's trying to do. He's identified weaknesses in the team. He's tried to fill them, with the constraints he's had to work under, and time will tell. But certainly, the only thing I will say is that I would have liked to have seen. I would have been great if we could have seen some of them on Saturday, but unfortunately. It seems like Sefco's the only one that's got a direct line to the transfer system in Scotland, and they were the only team in Scotland with a lot of play players they signed on Friday.
What do you make of the? I've seen a lot of people, and you kind of briefly touched on it there, Paul. I've seen a lot of people's complaint after the transfer window the next day, or certainly during that day, but mostly the next day, saying, "Well, we're guaranteed X amount for the Champions League. Let's just call it 20 million. We got 6 million for Key, but we only laid out 1.2 million. Now, for me personally, as I said before, if Neil Lennon got the players that he wanted, it doesn't matter to me how much they cost. Like, I didn't really buy into this that the spending.
You've got money in, you need to get rid of it.
Aye, that the spending has to be proportionate to the amount of money that you made. I didn't believe that's the case. If Neil Lennon wanted Ambrose and it cost 2 million, happy days. It cost 1 million, happy days. It doesn't matter. But I didn't need us to go out and spend 5 million because we've got 20 million. Do you know what I mean? If we've got players, we've got two La Liga strikers with La Liga experience, right? Alright, they're no Barcelona, Real Madrid players. Your man scored 2 goals against Real Madrid. I mean, the guys have got top level experience. We've got these guys in now. Let's just wait and see what they do. before start saying, well, we never spent enough money. Because spending money doesn't always get you results.
Rangers proved that.
No,
You know what I mean?
see as well, the Spanish league, there's not the reason we got these guys, there's no money kicking about the Spanish league.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's very few. I mean, Athletic Bilbao get 40 million in, but they can't spend it because they've got to bring them through their youth academy. So, at the end of the day, there isn't any. I mean, I think Levante was wanting this lad, the guy we got for Deportivo, but they couldn't agree that they couldn't pay his wages or whatever. So, at the end of the day, there isn't that much money going about. As you say, Paul, everyone's loan deals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I want Celtic downsize with the money they're playing to people. I don't want us to be giving guys 40 grand a week wages. That's not what I want to watch every week. I don't want to see prima donnas and guys that are on 40, 50 grand a week. The days, hopefully the days are behind us, and we're getting back to like something you can sort of relate to. But
I think, sorry, Jason.
No, I was just going to go back to Davey's point. I think Davey made the point about selling Key, and I think where he was coming from, seeing our previous Champions League experiences, we've always had guys like Massimo Donati and Jarosik, you know, guys that weren't the mainstays in the Scottish League. But see, when we played in Champions League, they stepped up to the plate, and they were the guys that actually they sort of ran the show for us. So I think he was thinking Key would have been that kind of model. And who have we got to play that type of role? I mean, obviously with Shinsuke Nakamura as well, and a different type of role, but that he was just a class above anything. You know, he could play in any company. But have we got players? I think Victor Wanyama would be your guy now.
Yeah.
I think Wanyama's the guy. He could play anywhere. I think he's excellent in Scottish football as well. I think he'd be excellent wherever he played. He could get in the Barcelona team.
He's a real impact player, isn't he? I mean, he gets in there and he just starts. He gets things done.
These guys that Jason's mentioned, you know, Jarosik, Nakamura, guys like that, Donati, that maybe weren't, you know, I take Nakamura aside because he was a real talent. You'll find in the Champions League, we'll watch it, that the teams will press you much higher up the park. Barcelona, best masters at, you know, pressing your defence, high pressing the park. Gives the midfield more time on the ball. The games are going to be slower anyway. And that's why these guys are kind of coming to the fore. And that was kind of my argument against why we sold Key. But what I would say is regarding the money, I think we've only got two players with Celtic experience in the Champions League, stuff at the top of my head, Brown and Samaras. This is going to be a learning curve this season in Champions League for us, right? And we're going to find out quickly who can actually step up to it and who's not really up to it. And I'd be quite happy if once we've seen that and once we've come out of it and say, right, he wasn't that great, he was actually good, we should have the money to say, like, we actually know how to go and strengthen this position and that position and that position. But we could easily spend £10 million now, buy 2 or 3 guys with Champions League experience, and it could do nothing.
Oh, definitely.
And then we're in a position where we have to do that, but we're 10 million doing the drain. So let's see it. Let's see them, because I tell you, one of the things I always thought in the first season of the Strachan era was when we got knocked out of our media, that kept a lot of average players in Gordon Strachan's team. You know, like people like Ross Wallace and Paul Telfer, who would have been completely exposed in the Champions League and then sent off to wherever. They were allowed to kind of prosper for ages, and then when they got against decent teams, they were shown up to be not good enough. So I think now, if we can see, we've got a good measure of, you know, who we've got as good and who we've got as no, because we know we've got slightly less pressure on us in the SPL, and we can, you know, rest players and all that kind of. And then once we get to the end of it, and I fully expect us to get at least third, don't get me wrong, we can then say in January, you know what, we could sign 2 or 3 and let's build for the summer.
Just before I bring Stephen, he's waiting patiently there to come in and give us his piece. Just one wee thing I was wanting to add about the boy Miku. It's since been revealed that I think Reading and Swansea were wanting the boy as well, and I was quite interested to see what he said. You know, these boys come in sometimes and say, "Oh, I know I'm coming to one of the biggest clubs in the world and support blah blah blah." And a lot of it's sound bites, and a lot of it's probably fed them. But what I really thought was good, what he said was, he says, I could have went to Reading and Swansea and played in the Premiership, but they're just another Getafe. They didn't need to win every week. Yeah. He says players know they can go out and play for these teams and do their best, but they don't have to win. He says, I wanted to go to a big club where the demand was to win every week. And that is the kind of mentality that we need at Celtic. I love to hear a player saying that. Comes in first and he says, I wanted to go to a team where I know I've got to win every week. And that's not a thing that you hear players saying a lot of the time. And I was really interested for him to come in speaking like that. And it really kind of bodes well for the future with him just on his words, like, you know what I mean? Obviously,
Yeah.
I'll still to see him play, but that really kind of excited me to read him saying that. Like, I don't know what you think of that.
Well, I'll tell you, talking about excitement, the girls on Saturday, they told me that I tell you he's excited a few of them because he's a good-looking boy.
He's not John McKenna. John McKenna was there with a guitar. Mickey would be forgotten about.
I've got 2-day growth on me. Sexy.
So, Stephen, you've been waiting there patiently, man. I don't know what you want to defend yourself first on. You so many transfers signed, sealed, and delivered.
Can I just say something before he comes in? He
All
was
right.
walking about that doing Saturday night dressed like an agent anyway.
He's got a taxi full of blue chip signings.
I heard he had a snappy linen jacket. That's all I heard.
Oh, that's beauty. You spent some time in Italy, boys, and you picked the couture up. It was lovely to see you on Saturday night, and I never knew so many people knew me. I don't know if it was my big head or my dodgy accent that gave it away, but everybody just kept saying, you must be the parrot.
It wasn't the plumage.
In my defence about the transfers, the guy who was telling me the stuff, he's not on Twitter or anything. His wife was in hospital. His wife, she was in labour at the time, and he was texting me, and I went, "Your missus must be Jamie. Don't worry about that shit. Here's what's going on." He still stands by the fact they two had medicals at Ross Hall. He did text me on Friday night at 7 p.m. Now, before I say this, but to me, the biggest scandal in football, I know it's a Celtic show, is the fact that guys like Ian Ayre, the Liverpool guy, has been left hung out to dry about this whole transfer window, which has been hyped up because Liverpool and Brendan Rodgers, I mean, you see him, he's sitting like a broken man because he's basically been shafted as a yes man. You know, get told the guy Hooper was basically away on Friday night if we had agreed to get John Guidetti, the the Man City striker, the Nigerian youth boy. Don't know if you're aware of him.
No.
I mean, the fact that Andy Carroll, etc., has been left. I mean, I'm not a great Lowell fan. I respect what he does in a sense, but signing wise, after leaving that stadium pumped up, we were expecting maybe the Thursday morning. I don't see why there was no reason why those guys could have been turned up Thursday, Friday morning, and we could have got them playing. As I say, I respect there's got to be book balancing and stuff, but my only fear is that this Champions League money is going to be Peter's project for the new new museum and stuff getting built. I mean, I've no problem with the signings he's brung in, sort of thing. My only thing with the Champions League is I met one of the girls before the game, and she's got a seat in the main stand, and she turned up with a little boy to pay for her season tickets for the Champions League games, and was basically told that her seats had been given away to corporate people.
I read something about this on Twitter as well, haven't I?
And that basically she was told that they would try and squeeze her in somewhere. Now, I mean, I've no problem with Celtic operating this policy, but you've got to give people a deterrent and a bit of warning saying, listen, if we make the Champions League, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be moved seats, you know. But for somebody who's paid her money, this is a bonus, and she's not sort of been, I think, given the respect she's due, sort of thing, you know. But on a lighter note, I would like to, I know there was a lot of shenanigans going on with cameras and toilets and that. A wee shout out to the bold Sammy and his missus. I mean, you guys are the total opposite to Jerry McKayle's show, because Sammy's missus was complaining that Sammy wouldn't go to the pub because he just sits in and listens to AOBO Media podcasts all week. I can't get him out the house, and I went, you're actually complaining you're allowed to go to the pub all week, and he's sitting in the house with your phones on watching the mains. So he's cool with that one. The only other serious thing I've got is the fact that I had a Melo Birds with my cousin who's a police officer on Friday, and he was telling me that the Chief Constable of Strathclyde Police's priorities this year are domestic violence and sectarian singing. He told me, I won't give his name for obvious reasons, but he told me that the 6 Sevco fans who were chanting at Brecon were named, ID'd, pictures and addresses by half-time of that game, and the Chief Constable sat on it and said that he wanted their houses taken out at 6 in the morning the following Friday with the media there to prove how strong he is about it.
Fantastic.
So that's just in case anybody's singing any Dean Shields song to make get somebody chanting their door, sort of thing. But no, just like it was a really, really fantastic night on Saturday night, and to see, obviously Paul hopefully made a few quid for charity, but to see gentlemen like Average Joe Muller from Not The View, who, Jesus, I've never met. I bought Not The View outside the Jungle many years ago, but to see just an average guy like that on the stage, and the mad boy for the Green Brigade with the shorts on. I tried to sell him one of your books, Paul. What a brass neck that was. I didn't even know who he was, the guy, you know. But no, it was a great night. As I say, I mean, hopefully with the Champions League, everything. I mean, it's a fantastic prize plan and stuff, but that was good. That was a good night.
Very good. So, talking about the...
I think, let me cut in. See that?
Right.
See that with the Champions League seats, Stephen? I think Celtic's got to, through UEFA, they've got to give a certain amount of seats to UEFA on the Champions League. I just think every club's got to do it. So it's just unfortunate who's getting seats in that area.
But surely you should be told when you're buying your ticket that you're made aware of the fact, listen, if we do qualify to the Champions League, there's a possibility that you'll lose your seat.
Fair, because my mate used to get moved all the time in North Upper, so he actually moved his seat. Big Des, he moved his seat a few rows back because he complained to Celtic, and he kept complaining to them because he get moved every year because he was in the front row of the North Upper. So they moved him every year, but there's certain seats that I think they were trying to rotate the seats so that it wasn't the same people that were getting affected every year. Obviously, we were qualifying every year a few years back.
I totally agree, mate. I mean, it's just the lassie in question's got a wee boy. I mean, if you're there as a punter yourself, it's no problem. But if she's familiar and a wee boy's familiar with where they're sitting in case she gets lost, or I think probably exit routes and all that, you'd be a bit apprehensive, mate. You know, getting shuffled about every game.
And the thing is, if he gets lost, he's not going to be able to ask the full-time doctor where he goes.
Oh, don't start that.
Hey,
Scotland will have to be phoning NHS 24 to get an appointment, but that's another story, isn't it?
See, when I was younger going to the games with my dad, mate, I stood outside every pub. I just thought it was normal. We guys stood outside pubs with candy juice and crisps.
Oh, I see a nice bag of gold in
Right.
That was a done thing.
Right, so listen, so we're on the Champions League, right, and we're talking about how we hope the players are going to perform in the Champions League. Stephen, I think you're getting a wee bit echo for you. If you want to hang up and call back again.
I'm only in 3G. I want to get off before the quiz starts in case I get any more embarrassed as it is. So lovely talking again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Right, cheers. Cheers,
man.
So Snake's still there, so I want to bring Snake back in. He's been hanging about for you well. So we're talking about the players in the Champions League, Joe, right, and how they're going to do. We've not touched on the draw, right? We've not touched on who we're going to be playing yet. So I missed the start of the draw. I had to go. I went for a major operation on Thursday.
Had a film.
I had to get a tooth out. So I just got back in time for the pot 4 teams coming out, so it was happy days. Have to say, it sounds a wee bit weird to say I'm a wee bit underwhelmed.
Because we got Barcelona again, and Benfica again, Spartak Moscow again.
You want different experiences. I think even Neil Lennon touched on it himself. They want just something new, but at the end of the day, it's still big teams. It's still at least Aidan McGeady's got to be coming back, so that's going to be a big buzz. Like, do you know what I mean? Barcelona's always going to be a buzz. The atmosphere's going to be great, but it's for the guys going on trips. You're always looking for somewhere nice but new. Do you know what I mean? I think you know what I mean, Jason. I think you're booked up for Lisbon. But just before we come to you, I'll bring Snake back in. I mean, what did you think of the draw? And I mean, it's teams that we know quite well. We can't really go on past results against them, even although they're quite recent. But I mean, how do you think we could do in this group? What's your ambitions? Finishing second, at least finishing third, or just making a good fist at it?
Well, the first thing I would say is, like, when I was watching it, I was going, please God, no Real Madrid, Man City and Ajax. That was the first thing I was thinking.
See, if I just cut in on you, I was actually wanting Real Madrid, Man City and PSG. So there you go.
I think we'd have had a real rotten time in that group. And it would have given the folk that don't like us the excuse to go, oh, look at that, you can't win a game in Europe. No, that's kind of rubbish, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying we wouldn't lost every single game or anything like that, but that was a bloody hard group. And I didn't want to play these English teams because they're all built in a sandcastle of debt, and I'm fed up looking at these English teams. I don't like them, to be perfectly honest with you.
But do you not think historically we always seem to do well against an English team?
Well, no, because up and down, we've been up and down against English teams in our history. I know recently we got 8 good results against Liverpool. We beat Man U at Celtic Park. See, the last time Celtic played Man U, we looked a level down for them, if I'm totally honest with you.
But we are a level down.
We're a level down.
Right.
No, but see, the first time we played them under Gordon Strachan, we looked as if we could give them a game. The second time we didn't. And I just thought, no for me.
You talked about the 3-0 game down at Old Trafford.
Aye.
We get a goal disallowed at the start. There were 2 of their goals no offside.
Aye, they were, but that's the point. They're going to get the decisions we aren't. The first game they got a penalty that was never a penalty in a million years. But I just don't like all the whole media circus about that, the Battle of Britain crap. I'm not into that because it isn't even close to level playing fields. I would have loved us to have pulled out a bunch of teams that we hadn't played before. For the fans, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't get any better than Barcelona coming to Glasgow.
That's it.
Aye.
I mean, the glamour of that game is fantastic. We've got a good record against Portuguese teams in Glasgow over the years. All of them. And Spartak, we've got a decent record against Russian teams. Spartak are not the best team in the world, or they're not even the best team in Russia, because apparently that guy Hulk that plays for Porto has now gone to Zenit St. Petersburg for an absolute arm and a leg. Man City have now bought one of their best midfielders off of Benfica, and there's a chance that another 3 of their best players could be moving to Russia by the end of this week for €90 million. So we could be coming up against a team severely weakened for their ability. Don't knock the fact that they're Portuguese. It's a great team, and I've got great respect for Benfica as a club. Met loads of fans. The last time we played Benfica, I was actually living in Prague, and we were watching the game. It was a game McGeady scored, and there was a boy get sent off for Benfica for an absolutely horrendous.
I almost broke Scott Brown's leg, didn't he?
Nearly, it was a shocker.
That's
we
right.
were sitting, me and a bunch of guys who were Celtic fans with some Benfica boys. And the Benfica boys come up to us and said, Benfica will completely hammer this guy for doing that. This is not our club ethos. And I was complete respect for the way you want your game to be played. And in the corner was a bunch of Porto fans going, the Benfica guys. And we just looked at them and went, shut up. You know what I mean? But it's bad in the sense that we've played all these teams before, but it's also fantastic. We've not been in the Champions League for 3-4 years because of a variety of reasons, which we can all talk about in our own time. But when I was looking at it from a football point of view, I thought, not a great draw, but no a nightmare.
I was kind of the same. I think that group is, at the very least, we should be looking to finish third. At the very least, and still. So, Joe, it's funny because you're sitting beside me, and I keep looking at the screen to bring people in who are waiting, because Paul, I would say, was probably next. But what's your own kind of thoughts? I kind of missed you out because you're sitting beside me. With your check shirt, you look camouflage there.
I'm looking groovy. I mean, at least it's not naked.
Hey, that's late. Hey, it's coming back.
I was kind of like you as well, because we always say to get Barcelona, but I mean, the thing about it is...
So you're a big Barcelona fan,
yeah, I like Barcelona, but I mean, the atmosphere in Celtic Park that night... In fact, atmosphere, any kind of Barcelona go anywhere, but at Celtic Park in particular, the fans seem to just ramp it up to 12, because they kind of need to, because the players need to be built up to that level if they're going to take anything off Barcelona, you know?
Do you know what's good as well about playing Barcelona? It gives you a world audience.
Absolutely.
It doesn't see all the games that are on that night. The amount of people in the world who will tune into Barcelona Celtic just because it's Barcelona.
Yeah.
They want to watch Barcelona.
Probably the only game I'm going to get to see in Slovakia.
Right, how's that?
Well, on here, the channels, on the domestic channels, show Champions League games, but we are not a top-billed side. They show the Spanish,
I get you.
They don't show, there's no Slovak teams in the bloody Champions League, but they always show the big teams, and that's what I mean.
I know what you mean now.
Yeah.
So, Paul, the draw, take it away, man.
I must say I'm delighted with the draw. I'm absolutely delighted with the draw, and I'm delighted with the way the fixtures are as well. I'm really happy we've got Barcelona kind of back to back, because I think we're capable of beating both Spartak and Benfica at home, and I think we're capable of beating Spartak away. I don't know if we're capable of beating Benfica away, but we've not got. I wouldn't write it off. And I like the fact that we are going to Moscow when it's at the end of their season, and I love the fact that they're coming to us when it's the close season. I think that's a huge thing for us.
And the fixtures fall as well. We're at home in the first game and we're at home in the last game.
Yes, because if we can beat Benfica and take something in Moscow, we're really flying. You know, I wouldn't like beating Barca or drawing with Barca at home because we can beat anybody at Celtic Park on our day. I don't care who it is. Barcelona away, you know, I mean, obviously you're up against it, all that kind of thing. I love the fact that we're playing Barcelona, but I didn't have this kind of overriding affection for them. They're reliable to me. That's the way I see them. They're reliable to my team. So, you know, I'm delighted to play, and I agree with Harper and Snake Caesar about how the spotlight will be on us, because these will be huge events and huge occasions. I'm sure Celtic can showcase, you know, Celtic to the world on these things, and that's fantastic. You know what I mean? That's something they didn't plan for an Armageddon. So I'm really happy with the draw, but above all else, I'm really happy we got Benfica, because it means we get rid of Jason for a week in Lisbon.
Well, there's a nice wee segue, Jason. You want to jump in?
By the way, I've made sure I've got Wi-Fi in the tel. I'll be having a wee. The boys are saying, "We are testing this Wi-Fi for us." Says, "No, they know." But, the draw. See, to be honest, I was gutted when it first got drew, right? Because I've been to Barca, I don't know, many times. Been to Benfica. I just wouldn't go to Moscow. It's too far away, too expensive, visas and all that kind of stuff. So it's nah. If I was going to Moscow, I'd want to go on holiday and see the place, right? But what's that, mate?
Moscow's more worth seeing. If it had been St. Petersburg, you really should go on holiday there.
I'd like to go to Moscow myself. St. Petersburg as well, but I'd like to go and see it. But regardless, I wouldn't be going there anyway. I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go to Greece. I wouldn't go to Turkey to see Celtic. But then when you look down and analyse the groups, there wasn't many teams who could have got that we hadn't played before.
Yeah.
You know, so you're right. It doesn't get any bigger than Barcelona. Benfica got one of the biggest worldwide fan bases any club. I'm sure their worldwide memberships rivals. I don't know if it's even the biggest. It's up them and Juventus or something like that. I've got the most worldwide members, because Portuguese have went every corner of the world. So Benfica, with that now, are one of the biggest clubs in the world, and their history's a fantastic history. I was over there at the time we got beat 3-0, and we got treated great, and Lisbon, brilliant city, so that was the one that won it for me. I didn't go to Barcelona because I think the stadium's a dump. The atmosphere, you're up in the clouds. It just plus we got humped. So I was there and they drew 0-0 with them and knocked him out. That was brilliant. But I'm definitely no a lover of Barcelona. It's like, to me, I love their history and stuff like that, but after the Spanish Civil War and things like that. But to me, them and Real Madrid are just two peas in a pod now. You know, they're Galacticos as well. They're 500 million in debt and spending 50, 60 million in players and stuff like that. To me, it's not fair, but there you go. I love watching them play football. Their football is unrivaled. It's amazing. So I can't wait till they come to Celtic Park. And that's one of the nights. And hail to Gordon Strachan, because he said after the draw was made, you mark my words, there'll be no other game that can rival this game in world football when Barcelona come to, I don't know his exact words, but it was words to that effect, that when Barcelona come to Celtic Park, that'll be the biggest game in the world that night.
You sure it was Gordon Strachan that said this now?
I can't be sure. But it was probably Lennon. But I'm really looking forward to it. And then when you look at Spartak Moscow, you don't even need a team talk about that Buffonia manager there, what he said about Celtic.
What was that? I never heard that. What was that?
He came out and says Spartak and Benfica will be contesting for second place. Celtic just kick the ball about the park and chase the ball. So, sorry, I don't know where Spartak Moscow's European Cup is, and maybe he's got a daft memory from 5 years ago when we pumped him out. So, look forward to giving Ed McGee a good welcome back to Parkhead, without a doubt. But, see, sorry mate, I think it's interesting what Paul said. See the way the fixtures get drew out. I think it is potentially amazing for us, but it's potentially a nightmare as well, because we're under severe pressure the first two games. Because you've got a must-win against Benfica, and then to me, out the 3 away games, this is the one I think we can take points from. You know, the Spartak away. So after 2 games, if we're sitting with no point after 2 games, the party's over.
It's potentially can go either way on the first 2 games. It could either be like sitting with 4 points or sitting in the shit.
I know. Yeah, I mean, see the thing about that, like, I mean, I know, like, and I know Jason's not deliberately being negative, but he's right what he says. But on the flip side of that, if we can put a dent in these 2 teams, you know, in the first 2 games, then they're going to cut each other's throat in the next 2 games. So whatever we do against Barcelona, there's a big potential that if we do well in the first two games, either Benfica or Spartak will be completely out the running by the fourth game.
I know exactly. I take it we've got to just hope that Barcelona win every game. You know, but the problem with that is we've got them in the two middle games. So see their last two games, sometimes they don't really know try at all. They try to win every game, but maybe they play a lot of their kids in the last game. You know, if they're through. So, but you can work all these permutations at the start. It can take loads of twists and turns. We could lose our first game and still qualify. You never know what's going to happen in football, you know. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. And we've got a fair squad going out to Lisbon, so I'm looking forward to it. Liam Brummy boy, he was a chief booker, so it was like a travel agent in here after the draw get made. Linda was going to offer nut, but it was like, I'll book this, just book it. And Jerry and Fletch and that, so there's this good squad. There's my younger brother Joe, so there's a load of us going out. Really looking forward to it.
So you're telling us there's Wi-Fi in the hotel?
Aye.
And is anybody going to be taking a laptop?
I'll have my phone. I've got Skype.
Never mind the phone. Will any of the boys, do you think, be taking a laptop with them?
Take a laptop? We're there for 3 days. We're lucky if I take a bag with them.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you get one of the boys take a laptop, you can set up your own wee European Champions League HomeBhoys show on the road, and we can call yous.
See, the thing is, mate, right?
Aye, just the same as Belfast. There's about as much chance of a show happening as pigs in the air.
There's absolutely no danger. I might phone absolutely melt it, but I'd just make an arse of myself, which I do every weekend anyway.
I know. So, just to kind of wrap that wee segment up, then Champions League draw. I think we're all quite happy with it. We're quietly confident. If we've got obviously our reservations, but it could have been a lot worse. Could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse.
Just happy to be back in the Champions League. Happy to
exactly. To be honest, listen, we've been 3 years at it. We're back in the Champions League. Zadok the Priest time. You know what I mean?
Nobody's going to get that.
Anybody know who's Zadok? Snake. Do you know who's Zadok the Priest?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
See, there you go.
That's the Champions League music. It's called Zadok the Priest by Handel.
Nobody knows that.
That's because she's uncultured.
People think Zadok the Priest is a Dan Brown book.
I thought it was Sardo. Is that terrible Sean Connery film for a minute there when you were reading it?
No. So, listen, just to that wrapped up there, I'm just looking at my notes. I actually got a tweet, as I said earlier, for Bobby Lennox. I think he was at the book launch, was he, on Saturday night?
Colin, it was, yeah.
Aye, Colin, that's right, Colin, the Red Sox fan. He sent us that, he said he couldn't listen in, but he'd be listening back to the podcast at his work tomorrow, or going to his work or whatever, and he had a question he wanted to ask, and it's taking a wee bit away from Celtic, but the guy sent us a question, so I'll ask it to you. Probably I'll aim this more to you, Paul, because you seem to have more kind of insight in this kind of stuff. What his question was basically was, are Sevco insulated against the big tax case? No.
Absolutely not.
I didn't really know what the basis his question was. It's quite hard because that's all he really asked. I don't know if he's thinking because of this or because of that, but so that's just it. Is there anything to add to that? Is it just a no?
Well, I mean, to briefly video haven't went in there yet. The liquidation has yet to take place in terms of the completion yet. And BDO can pull the plug on absolutely anything that they've done, including, for example, the fact that they bought Ibrox and Murray Park and the Albion Kappa for 5.5 million. All these things are interlinked. Everything will be looked at, and as it's been quoted many times, as soon as BDO go in there, that's when it will get forensic.
Right, so it's a no. That's that. The only other thing I had a note here was I had a story that I seen in the Irish Times the other day, and I was quite surprised that it got highlighted more amongst maybe on Twitter and that, but there was a story in the Irish Times saying, without me going to the link, and I'll summarise it, UEFA and Platini have sanctioned the ladies' leagues in Belgium and Holland to have a cross-border league for the next 3 seasons, and this to see how it kind of works out. Then they look at it in 3 years' time, and basically the way the Irish Times were painting this story was, in 3 years' time, UEFA could be open to cross-border competition, certainly amalgamating leagues. And the way the Irish Times were talking about this was, if you remember a few seasons back, there was an idea kind of floated for a Celtic League between Scottish teams, Irish teams and Welsh teams. But I suppose probably further to that, it kind of maybe opens up the door to a European League, which is something that Celtic have obviously kind of talked about in the past if they couldn't get to the English Premiership. Because this isn't talking about going to play in another league. This is talking about amalgamating leagues across borders. Because like the kind of current financial climate all over the world, there's just leagues that can't compete with the big leagues when it comes to the Champions League. Yeah.
As you know, I live in Slovakia, and there has been big talk here about rejoining the Czech and Slovak leagues together.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is they have a winter shutdown over here, and in that time they play indoor tournaments where the Czech and Slovak teams actually play against each other, and it's a huge money spinner out here. And they're trying to lobby UEFA to get that reintroduced, because in the old Czechoslovakia, obviously there were much more powerful teams, and the separation of the two leagues has made both countries' leagues much weaker in terms of qualification for Champions League and European football. So it's no completely unrelated, and that's in men's football. They're trying to get that back here.
Mm-hmm. My kind of thought on it is like, you're talking about 3 years down the line, which is a good wee timeline for the tribute team. So what I'm thinking is, right, 3 years time, Celtic go away down to the Premiership, right, playing the English Premiership, and it's just in time for the Scottish teams then can amalgamate with Ireland, and then Rangers can play Linfield and all that, and they'll all be quite happy to have that, right? And a couple of Welsh teams with loads of letters that didn't make sense, right? So I get
Scrabble FC.
Works out perfect for everybody, doesn't it? Am I backing up the wrong tree? Anybody else want to add anything? I just thought it was an interesting wee story.
I think that a European Super League's inevitable. Mm-hmm. I think that's the way it'll go eventually.
Paul, see when you're saying that, right? That's kind of when I say it. I mean, I said that the Celtic League, but really, is this the first acorn to a European league? That's basically what I'm looking at.
You've only got to look at the whole sort of too big to fail policy. A kind of huge organisations now. When banks went to the wall, gone to the wall, and that, what did they merged them, and there's just, they're realising, everybody knows it, there's not enough money to go around football now.
Mm-hmm.
It's hitting all around Europe, and it has to be, if amalgamation isn't the key, then what is? Because I don't know what is. I don't know, how other leagues, but there's no doubt at all, I've been saying it for years, leagues like, Belgium and the Scandinavian leagues and all that kind of thing, they would, love this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the opposition will come from your top four leagues, your England and Spain and Italy, that kind of thing. But they'll probably be appeased by a European Super League, And if we can have some sort of, I'd suggest that what you'll probably see with the very, very top clubs, the Reals and Barcas right now, is a kind of NFL approach to it. But, and then the rest of us will kind of fight out for other things. And I think clubs like Celtic will benefit to that hugely, particularly when the thing is, we know we're a massive club and we know we've got a worldwide fan base and that, but what we have is an absolutely tiny TV audience. Mm-hmm. And that is what kills us. The league that we play in, this country we play in, kills us in terms of TV revenue, in terms of big teams. If we were to put in a much bigger, wider audience, Celtic would be as big as anybody in the world, financially, support-wise, anywhere.
I agree with that 100%.
I agree with that as well, definitely. But you're looking at, I always use La Liga because I take a right big interest in it, but most of the teams there, they reckon they're just on the verge of going to the wall. And then you watch that Super Cup there, Atletico Madrid gave Chelsea a horsing, but they're €500 million in debt. Somebody told me they're moving out Vicente Calderon to some stadium in the outskirts of Madrid because they can't afford to play there anymore.
Mm.
I mean, they signed that Falcao for €40 million. Somebody says that it was actually 16, but it got pushed up for that when they were €500 million in debt. I mean, they earn a fraction of the money Real Madrid and Barcelona earn. Yeah. I think something like Valencia was the third highest in TV, and they get something like 40 million and it didn't even, because they've got a stadium in Valencia that's near the airport that's sitting like a shell. The seats haven't been put on. It was like a 70,000 seater stadium, and the obviously the banks crashed and whatever, and they couldn't sell the Mestalla, so they couldn't fund the stadium. So when you fly into Valencia, you're travelling from the airport into the city centre. You go past the new stadium that was built for them. So you say to yourself, how can these clubs function? Because the banks in Spain have they got any money left?
Yeah.
So who's actually, where's their line of credit? How are they paying wages?
I know. I mean, it's happening. Look at Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool basically shafted a new manager there on Friday. They got rid of a huge earner off the wage bill because they spent £35 million on a guy that's no cut the mustard. Right? Forget the fact they spent £40 million on Henderson and Downing haven't cut the mustard. And basically told the guy, didn't worry, we're going to sign replacements. And as soon as he got rid of him, he said, actually, we're not going to sign replacements. Yeah, I mean, they're absolutely brassic.
They couldn't muster £5 million together for that Clint Dempsey.
I know. They apparently they offered £3.5 million for Theo Walcott, who's in the last year of his contract, and then Arsenal turned around and said, we've actually just turned down an £8 million bid for him. Are you kidding us on here? I mean, you're right. It's going to collapse soon. These clubs, if Sky B collapsed tomorrow, most English football would be dead.
Mm-hmm. I know. And that Brendan Rodgers, he got asked by a reporter in Liverpool, he says, you've been in there a couple of days now, a couple of weeks. He says, so how far do you think you're away from a good team? He says, well, if you cut through Stanley Park about half a mile as a crow flies, am I that far away from one?
See, and it's interesting, and someone Snake said earlier, right, about not wanting to play English teams because they're built on piles of mountains of sand, right? And does that kind of bring us back round full circle to the job that Peter Lawwell's done and should be applauded for then? Because Celtic are obviously in a very, very good financial position. Even although we've got minimum debt, it's very manageable. Champions League is going to be a big thing for us this year. And the chances are we're going to get Champions League football unchallenged, certainly from Scotland for the next 3 years. So we could probably say, as long as we can get through our qualifiers or whatever it is, we're guaranteed, we're not guaranteed, we've got to get through the qualifiers, but we've got 60 million coming at minimum in the next 3 years.
See, the thing is, Harper, right? See all this boils down to whether people think Peter Lawwell's great when Celtic are winning, and see when Celtic are losing, people think Peter Lawwell's crap. We are just common football fans that love to see Celtic win football games and play at the highest level. That's all we really want to see. We want to see Celtic playing good football and playing at the highest level. See if everything Peter Lawwell does achieves that, then we love him. See if it doesn't, we hate him. Because we can talk about money all day, but none of us are accountants. None of us know how this works. None of us are present at these corporate meetings and things like that. And we've all got ideas how Celtic can improve. Obviously, we spoke about the trip to America, things that they can do better. And I fully believe we can. But see, at the end of the day, it just shows you we always go back to the common denominator. See if Celtic's winning and things are going well for us, then we're happy. And I think at the minute, especially with the £84 deal for us for the Champions League, I don't know about you, Paul, but I fell off my chair when that came through.
Yeah, no, I did. I actually said to somebody, I said I was expecting £99.
Oh,
so
I was expecting... Yeah, £99 was what I said. Yeah.
Totally credited for them.
And the thing is, it's only £15 less than what we expected, but that means a lot to us. And it's not the monetary, it's actually just a symbolic gesture to the fans to say, look, we want to get this place absolutely rocking. Because see, when Celtic used to play the old Rangers, when we played them, I used to get, that's like on loads of folks' bucket lists. So I would get all my pals for Liverpool, I'd get Dutch guys and things that all want to come to the game. So you would get loads of tickets. See this Barcelona game, see the amount of people I've had asking me for tickets for that game. Suddenly guys want to travel for Ireland, coming for abroad, coming up for England and stuff like that. I don't know, do you think Celtic will be selling single tickets for that game, or do you think they'll get rid of it? I mean, do you not think they'll sell the stadium out with a 3-match package?
No, because the 3-match package, people won't be able to afford it, because although we're paying £84, it's £105 if you're not a season ticket holder. And so Celtic, say we're not going to do it now, but didn't kid yourself on, Celtic will make a fortune to single ticket sales, because they'll be about £45-50. a ticket, no question about it. I mean, just to touch on the Peter Law thing very quickly, I mean, Peter Law always gets slagged for the Stephen Fletcher thing. I think the biggest mistake Peter Law made was employing Tony Mowbray. Dermot Desmond was in New Orleans on that January before the end of Strachan's last season, and he told people in New Orleans, and people who are listening back me up on this, that Neil Lennon was going to be the next manager. And Peter Lawwell persuaded him to go with Mowbray, and that was a financial disaster for Celtic, because we bankrolled Mowbray, we paid a lot of money for Mowbray, and it was a complete and utter disaster. Not only by that, and it cost us a lot of money, and at a time when we weren't in the Champions League. It's only now that we're kind of starting to recover for that. So I agree with what Jason said. I mean, I applaud Celtic for things like that. I'll slag them for other things. But it's a kind of fine line constantly with Celtic. But now, you know, as Bomber Brown told us,
Oh, but they'll still be talking, they'll still be recording. It's a weird thing.
Can you hear me, Harper?
Aye. You just cut out for about 30 seconds there. Not even 30 seconds. 15 seconds.
Paul was talking, not me.
Aye. Paul, you still there, eh?
I'm still here, but I need to go now, because I tell you before.
You did, man, aye.
So,
right,
so bitches all a phone farewell, and I'll speak to you all soon, okay?
Cheers,
Paul.
Just here, I just want to add into that as well. Here, Jason, I'm looking for 2 tickets too, so...
Aye, serious.
What?
You coming over?
I was saying to my wife about going to Barcelona, and then she was like, "You've already been there, can I go to Glasgow?" And I was like, fair enough.
If he shits himself next to me one more time tonight, he'll be heading there the night.
That's the kind of sympathy I get for having IBS.
Jesus Christ. Listen, just, I know we're kind of looking close to wrapping up, right? So just to kind of cut in you, we mentioned Peter Lawwell, and the big PL went out in the sky, and Graham Wilson caught that bat signal. So Graham, you're live on the HomeBhoys, man.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Listen, see, first of all, can you tell me what exactly is Labour Day? It's just a made-up holiday, is it?
I have no idea. I've just sat on my ass and eaten food and really haven't done anything. So it's kind of an oxymoron, the label. But I'll take it.
No, seriously, what is it?
Why do you? Is it true you can't wear white after Labour Day?
Whatever Harper says, I cannot be bothered my ass or whatever. I just wear
You're the worst American I know.
So it's just like a bank holiday here, isn't it, Graham?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the same thing as a bank holiday. They have like the really snobby people, like this high society. They don't wear white after Labor Day. But you don't wear socks after Memorial Day or some bullshit. I don't know.
That's the Rev. I've seen him. I see his Facebook. You never see him in white past this till next month.
You never see him in clothes.
it clashes with the waistcoat that he wears.
Right, so Graham, listen, we're a wee bit pushed for times. I know Joe's needing to head off as well. Honestly, man, he's shitting all over my house, man. I can hardly see the screen for brown mist. Swear to God, this is unbelievable. If the mics are picking this up, I'll have to apologise.
I have a disease.
You didn't. You're telling me you've got a disease. I can see it. It's running down your ankle. Graham, so listen, man, what was it you were calling in for, man?
Well, first off, I just wanted to follow up. I heard Jason talking about some of the Benfica players that were sold this week, one of which was Javi Garcia, who went to Man City for, I believe it was $16 million, yeah. And it was just reported that Axel Witsel, who was another player that I think you were referring to, has just been sold to Zenit St. Petersburg. It's one of the cogs of their midfield. He's been sold for approximately 45 million euro.
40 million euro.
Yeah. Yep. So and there's a rumor that another one of their players is going to be sold to Anzi Makachakalaka. The other natural gas funded toy. I think it was Cardozo, another one of their attacking players, is rumored to be off to Anzi Mokochokolata Tata.
I think they play up off
the figure is for that, but I mean they're now let's be honest, they're going to have some sort of firepower in reserve, but they're losing quite a bit of their talent without an ability to replace it by purchasing other players within the European system. So that's good news for Celtic going into that. Very interesting now.
Yeah, but I think it's the Portuguese way, but because they realise they're in a smaller league than obviously their Spanish counterparts and things like that. But they've got that model that they blow their teams up after a few years, they sell them for big profits, invest the money back in their youth. But with their employment laws and things like that, Graham, they can sign Brazilians and things like that, where we can't. See in the UK, you need to have certain work permits and things like that. So we've got that handicap straight away that we can't compete with these guys for the signings, because a lot of the Portuguese players, they can sign your South Americans and that straight off, and then they can get national Portuguese citizenship and things like that if they come to Brazil. So they've got that over the top of us. But now their business model is to be admired as well. Porto obviously done it with the team that beat us, and then went on to win the Champions League the year after. They beat us in Seville. So they sold that team for about €100 million in total. Yeah. So Benfica's probably using the same model, so fair play to them.
Yeah, exactly, John. And people like to point out the fact that we have so many internationals on our side, and it's just because we have to have internationals on our side, given the employment laws that you cited there. So I mean, it's hard for us to sort of play that. It's been referred to as the money ball principle. When we can bring in some of these younger, less exposed players and sell them off for a profit. But fair play to our scouts for finding these players that can qualify, can get work visas to play for Celtic. And as we saw with Key, sell them on for a nice profit. And there's several other players on our side right now that follow that mold. Hopefully we can find replacements for them before we sell them on, and we can continue to have success throughout.
Yeah. Sorry, mate, when you go.
See that Russian team? It's Anzi Makhachkala, and they're funded by a billionaire, Suleiman Kerimov.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Jesus Christ, man. See the money these Russian teams have got, it's scary.
Is there a reason that they bought that team, like?
Probably the local team for the guy.
Yeah.
He's probably sitting around the table going, well, I've got this much to blow on a team this week.
It's weird. It's amazing. Like, these guys are playing football like it's Subudio.
Yeah. Tell me something. Can any of you remember a few years back, Celtic bought as a share was it Ostend? We bought a Belgian team, or we bought into a Belgian team. This would have been about 5 years ago. Whatever happened to that? Because that was our way of getting sort of the Belgian colonies, the African colonies that were affiliated to Belgium. Now with their employment laws, they could get these guys to play for them. So I think our sort of main aim was getting them in there, getting them playing there, and then we could transfer them in. For there, I think I didn't look into it too much, but there was a thing about 5 years ago. Is that gone now, or does anybody know anything about it?
I remember Man U had a set up with a club. I can't remember the name of the Celtic club. Are we not set up with Philadelphia now, though, Graham?
Well, there's been a youth academy that's set up, which number one doesn't have the same sort of work visa advantages. I mean, if we get a player that comes in through the American system, it doesn't quite transfer over as easily as say an EU a player would. But the youth academy, in my impression, is set up to locate and nurture maybe some American talent that's coming through, but that would have the same sort of challenges as say a Brazilian or an Argentinian or a Venezuelan that doesn't have international caps. It still has the same requirement.
Because we have a sort of setup with Santos Laguna.
I was going to bring that up, yeah.
Mexico.
Exactly. Yeah,
that has that same kind of thing where these guys come across and they've got to prove to get a working visa. They've got to have played international games and stuff like that. I don't know how it kind of works with youths and that kind of thing. So I mean, it's hard to see how that kind of stuff can work. Like,
yeah. Do you remember when Willie McStay went out to Hungary? Budapest?
Yeah.
That was the same thing, and then that fell dramatically badly. We should never have went to Hungary. Hungary's a terrible bloody place to get young talent growing up, I know they used to be the greatest world football team in history, but I mean, now they're a mess. We should have been going to Poland, where we have actually, see when you go to Poland, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have been to Poland, we have got such a natural affinity with the Poles. Because see when you go to Poland, and you say that you're from Glasgow, instantly they're always talking about Celtic. And I don't just mean the young folk, I mean the folk that are older. Remembers Jakanowski and Dariusz Dovcek going to play for Celtic. There's a huge Celtic following in Poland.
Snake, see when Arthur Boruc was playing with Celtic, right? And Arthur moved to Ireland. and I was going into work, and I worked with loads of Pauls. I worked with Joe, and I had my Celtic top on. Automatically, all the Pauls were over me. Celtic, Arthur Boruc. Arthur Boruc, they told me at that time, Arthur Boruc could have ran for Prime Minister in Poland. He was loved that much, and that was a big, massive thing for Celtic at that time. And Poland.
See, when I actually lived in Poland, the last year of the last year of Strachan's 3 in a row, and everywhere you went, if you watched television, if you were walking past billboards, Artur Boruc was everywhere. I mean, he was the man. And that was the year of Euro 2008, and that was the first time Poland had ever qualified for the European Championships. And they were playing they lost to the Germans in the first game, which is always bad for the Poles, because they go mental about that. The second game they were playing Austria, and basically Boruc kept them at 0-0 at half-time. Well, up until half-time, because they scored just before half-time. And there was a point, I was watching it, huge big screen in Poland, and the guy said, like Austria 0, Artur Boruc 0. You know what I mean? Because the Polish team were so crap. And he really did keep it. He is a national hero out there.
Right, he is a national. Well, certainly it was then. There's also a team in Poland, Lechia Gdansk. Gdansk is one of the main cities in Poland, and it's supposed to be a bright holiday resort. These guys playing green and white hoops. The same strips, right?
Division team.
Aye, my mate says to me, like, he's a Gdansk fan. He got me a Gdansk strip. He says there's many Celtic strips at their games as they actually see themselves as being twinned with Celtic without us actually we didn't actually recognise it, if you know what I mean. Celtic fans didn't know about this.
Well, see if you go back to the 80s and the Solidarity movement in Poland.
That's where it started.
That's where it was based, yeah. Lech Walesa.
Not Valenza, Wałęsa, that's his proper name in Polish. And I've been to Gdansk twice, and it's a real working class city. Yep. It's a fantastic place, by the way. And that's another joint you should all go to. I mean, sorry if I'm the Eastern European scout, but I love all this.
That's good. I like it as well, mate. Carry on.
No,
something I was going to ask you about.
Yep.
We're talking about teams in Europe and sandcastles. In your opinion, who are the great Eastern European teams?
Me, you talking about the old communist era?
The old communist era for you. Yugoslavia, your Czechoslovakia, your Poland, your USSR. Who are the great communist teams? Romania and Bulgaria, all these places.
Well, your Stout Bucharest, your Red Star Belgrade. They would be the two that would jump out for me. Stout Bucharest and Red Star Belgrade, Dynamo Kiev.
Aye.
Siska.
That'd be my three that would jump out automatically. Yep.
Dukla Prague and all.
Dukla Prague, yeah. They're nothing now. They're like third division, aren't they?
No, they're back in the top division now. They've come back.
Well, they went. I'd see a few, but I was in Prague a few years ago. They were well down.
You're right, Jason. They went miles down, but they're now actually in the top league. Because I was watching the telly this weekend, and they showed you the Czech league, and I saw Dukla Prague, and I burst out laughing because they fell so hard.
Quite famous for half man, half biscuit.
Aye.
All I want for Christmas is a Dukla Prague away kit.
I have to say, the way some of the young boys are developing here, Ireland's going to have some of the best Eastern European teams in the world.
And African players too.
See, that's my point. I think we should be looking at these leagues all the time to get our talent. Because it's going to cost us nothing compared to that stupid Premiership or Championship or even the French League, or because when we're talking about cross-border, the Yugoslav teams, your Serbia, Macedonia, Slovenia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, all those teams have now been diminished so much by the breakups. And I think that they need to start bringing like mini federations back into European football and bringing all these teams together again. Because I think it will make the leagues much more interesting. I was talking to a guy the other day, and we were talking about the last great team that was kind of all nationals to win the European Cup. And I think Red Star Belgrade, when they had Prosinecki playing for them.
No, he played with Dinamo Zagreb. Did he play for Red Star as well?
He played for Red Star because he scored against a former rival of ours who are now defunct.
All right.
And in a 3-0 he absolutely tore them a new one at Ibrox and all. Because he was unbelievable.
He smoked about 60 fags a day as well, didn't he?
Aye, but he was like, as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the greatest football players of all time.
Who was the guy, the Polish guy? I'm thinking it's right off the top of me. Did he play for Barcelona?
You think of Stoichkov as Bulgarian?
No. He had red hair or kind of blondie red hair, centre midfield.
Ralph Koeman, he was Dutch.
Bonet, what was his name? Come on, he was Polish.
I can't know what you're talking about.
Polish, he played for Barcelona. Boniek, what a player. See, you're talking about Boniek, he was one. So I can remember Celtic playing Barcelona, I think it was in a friendly or somebody else. Boniek was coming to the end of his career and he waltzed about, I'm talking about when I was standing in the Celtic end, and he was waltzed about Celtic Park like on the place. What a player he was, Boniek, aye. Mm-hmm. Right, so listen, we're kind of close to wrapping things up here, but that's us hit 2 hours. No, wait, Graham, is there anything else you want to bring up briefly?
I have one announcement really quick, and then I'm done. I just want to let everyone know that this weekend, there's not much going on in the way of Celtic. We're not playing. It's the international break, etc. It's an idea that I've had for a little while. I want to see if I can pull this off. I want to have a telethon. I don't know if you have those over there or if you call them something different, but essentially what I'd like to do, I've wanted to make a donation to the We Oscar campaign, but I want to have something that's, we can get some participation with. So I'm just going to have maybe an hour long or however long, but it's just going to be calls, and it's. I just want to see how many calls that we can get, and for every call that we get, I'll donate $5 to the We Oscar campaign. I'll see if I can get Rev to maybe meet me halfway, donate $250 per call. See if I can get the coach to meet me with $250 per call. So we're just going to try and get as many calls as we possibly can. If you're listening in, that's all we're doing. We don't have an agenda. Just call in. You have to have a topic. Don't call in and just say, right, I called, so I'm going to hang up now. Just have a topic that you want to make a brief point with. We'll hang up with you. We'll keep a tally of the number of people that call in. And we'll times that by $5, and I'll donate that to the We Oscar Fund. If you want to match the donation that I'm making, please do so. But
Graham, what do you have a PayPal account? What if you charge people $5 to call in?
Yeah, I mean, we could do something like that.
Or you could have a donation anyway if somebody wants to donate whatever to your PayPal account while you're doing this.
That's essentially that's the idea that I want to put out there, and we'll have specifics in terms of how we're going to work that out, and we'll release that as the week goes on. But I just wanted to let everybody who's listening in know about it. I'm not sure if we'll have it on Saturday or Sunday. I mean, it really doesn't matter now considering there's no game. So whatever suits folks. And whatever suits myself and the Rev and the coach, in terms of convenience. But, like I said, I mean, we'll go for an hour, or, we'll go for more than that if people, just continue to call in and we have a good discussion with it. But, it seems like, we do have some people who are calling in over these past weeks that have never called before, and they're like, I'm a bit nervous about doing it. Just call in, and by doing so this weekend, it's for a good cause. Maybe you get up over the hump. In terms of, maybe you're thinking about calling in before, but, you might have been a bit nervous about it. Just do it. We'll talk about Celtic. You can make your point, and then we'll get you off the air, and it, just all goes to a good cause.
Graham,
so I'll have more details.
Graham, get that written up into an article, and we'll get that up on the front page in Hail Media, so everybody knows exactly, and we'll get it on News Now, Celtic, all that kind of stuff.
You have to do your best Jerry Lewis impression, though, Graham, if it's going to be a telethon.
There's one other thing I was wanting to add just before we wrap up, right? I was talking to a guy on Twitter this afternoon, Melbourne Tim on Twitter.
Can I just cut in before you go here?
All right, here we go.
Some green face get on Celtic minded, and he's just pointing out Boniek played with Juventus and Roma. So get it right up here.
Hey, listen, I said I think Barcelona. Listen, if you're trying to put that as being side by side with you last week, Listen, you missed the one earlier I had in the chat room because I claimed your man Miku scored all his goals for Getafe in Serie B till somebody pointed out Serie B was Italy. So listen, I can put my hands up, don't worry about that. No, listen, I was chatting to a boy, Melbourne Tim, who's obviously in Melbourne, funnily enough, right? And it's a thing I get quite a lot for guys in Australia. They'll send me messages saying, they'll send emails saying, love the show, wish I could call in, but like when news are on, it's 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. So I've kind of floated an idea with a couple of guys that I'm willing to do an Australian version of the HomeBhoys, if you like, where.
What he means is he's going to get up at 9 o'clock in the morning and drink Foster's.
Basically, I'm quite happy to set up HomeBhoys. Listen, I'm basically, for anybody Australian listening back to the podcast, if there's enough interest, I'm going to do it as a one-off, but if there's enough interest, maybe do it once a fortnight or once a month. Whereas, I mean, I'm not working at the minute, it's no hassle to me to drink in the morning. Right? So, if 9 in the morning here is 8 p.m. in Melbourne, I'm not sure the...
It's happy hour somewhere, it's happy hour somewhere.
But if the Australians want a call-in show where they all want to get involved, I'm quite happy to set up HomeBhoys 9 or 10 in the morning here and I'll maybe get the two guys for the Rebel podcast on as instead of Jason and Paul, I'll maybe have Prefontaine and Callum on the line. And if you want to call in, we've got Oz Chris, who's part of the Lost Boys, right? We'll get something set up for the guys in Australia.
I'm glad you included me there.
You work. I'm just saying though, I will set up something in the morning if the guys in Australia. But it has to be participating. Do you know what I mean? It has to have guys calling in. It has to be worthwhile. So if you're listening in Australia and you want this to happen, right, send me an email, homeboys@gmail.com, say, look, I'm willing to get involved, I'm willing to call in, and we'll do something for the Celtic fans in Australia once a fortnight or once a month, depending on how popular it is or if it's even needed or wanted. But the kind of feedback I got from Melbourne Tim was that would be something to really appreciate. So it's no hassle to me, man.
No?
Sit on a Thursday morning, I can sit in my pants anytime drinking, it doesn't bother me. Right? So that's something I'm going to set up in the next couple of weeks. A HomeBhoys Australian version. So that's me done. Oh, there's one wee thing, the Hail Media banner, right? That was so publicised before the Helsingborg game. Now,
There's a parrot again.
The parrot. No, to be fair, I mean it was right enough, right? The boys done a banner. Always have been, always will be. You've probably seen the big green banner with the gold star in the middle above the Green Brigade at half time before the game against Helsingborg, right? We were going to have your name added to that banner, but the parrot was organising this. But we just felt that it was a nice banner. Hail Media probably didn't really fit the message that was on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It felt like Hail Media was saying we'd always been there and we always will be. So we're actually probably going to come up with I'm going to speak to all the guys for all the shows and we'll maybe get a wee kitty and we'll get a banner made with our own logo and our own wee thing and the parrot can take it to all the games, like. So no, that's something we'll look at just down the line. And just talking about Hail Media, with another podcast coming out later the night, 90 Minutes Cynic, with the Rebel podcast came out again last week, which for me, I hate to pick favourites, but I love the boys. The two boys in Australia are just hilarious. Graham, I know you had the pleasure of meeting Prefontaine and Philly there, and I actually love the two boys, so it's great to have them back. I think they're going to be back more regular. And just this channel is going from strength to strength, and I hate people saying to us, "Oh, you're doing a great job." Everybody's doing a great job, man. And this is a thing. It's for the fans, by the fans.
It was never about us making a name for ourselves.
Not I hope it. Anybody. We had a few things as well last week, Graham, right? Where people were saying about the quality, the sound quality, the content, right? We're not trying to be Panorama.
No.
We're not trying to be Newsnight.
Panorama.
The whole thing about me and Joe when we started the HomeBhoys was to get that pub feel. Right? This is our version of going to meet the mates in the pub. Because we've not got that kind of thing here that I certainly had back in Scotland, right? This is our version of it.
Yeah.
Right? And if people enjoy it, enjoy it. But if they don't, they don't. But didn't be complaining us about quality and content because without trying to be rude, we didn't really care because that's not what it's about. It's not what it's about. Do you know what I mean? I appreciate constructive criticism, but at the same time, this is just a few ordinary punters with a laptop. We're not in a studio. We're not using mics. It's just a bit of laugh and a bit of crack. And I hope that's the way it's supposed to come across anyway. So
sometimes the crack's not always there.
No.
I think you're exactly right. If anybody feel free to donate so that we can get a proper studio. If you have a few thousand quid that you want to send over, we'll get a proper studio, and we can raise the audio quality to whatever the expectation is. But Harper, I think you're right. I mean, this is trying to emulate sitting around the pub with a few of your mates and just throw ideas out there, have a bit of fun. I think we're doing that, and that's all it is.
Graham, do you know what I'm thinking? Right? Do you ever have a show in America called Wife Swap?
No.
I think we could have podcast swap where you come and live in Ireland for a year, and I go and live in America for a year, and I take over beyond the waves, and you sit and smell Joe shitting all night.
How come you're going to Philly and I don't get to go?
Because you pump, right? So that's something we can look at in the future. And listen, if anybody in America wants to get me a visa or get me a job, listen, I'm up to offers, right?
And I need 2 tickets to Barcelona and a brand new jacket. And an iPad.
The parrot will sort you out with a jacket.
I reckon you'll need wealth off the radar for that, I'll tell you.
Right, so that's us wrap up.
Every fiver.
Is there any last thing any of you guys want to add, just because we're going right now? Joe's going to finish off with a wee thing about a boy, a wee thing about that, and then we're going to wrap up.
That's all from me.
Cheers, Graham. Snake.
Me and all, dobro noc, as we say in Slovakia, means good night, so see you later.
I knew that.
Get on.
All the best, mate.
Cheers, man.
Take it easy,
Snake, boys. Joe, just prepare to buy the song. Blah, blah.
Well, buy the song, A Boy. We got the sales report through today, and it's done quite well. It has done quite well, but it can do better. All the money that's raised from the song will go to York Hill Sick Kids Hospital in Glasgow, and this is on behalf of Bobby 67, who sadly passed away from Celtic Minded.
Bobby Hughes.
Jason,
just stay on Skype, by the way.
And it's raising money, and it'll be there all year. You can buy it, keep buying it, buy it 10 times. And if you want to donate more than the amount that it costs on iTunes, you can go to Bandcamp. Just search Joe McKenna or Hail Hail Media and A Boy, as in BHOY, and please buy it. And all the money's going to York Hill Sick Kids.
Sounds good, band. So we're just going to play it with A Boy, and Hail Hail will talk to you all next week.
Yep, next week.
Trips.
Jason, just hang on, would you?
Yep.
Cheers, folks. Hail Hail.
On a cold grey morn, on a Glasgow street, a young boy in torn clothing has a ball at his feet. He shouts, "Daddy, I'll play for Celtic, I'm gonna be a superstar." He says, "Go out there and get it, son, show the jungle who you are." "Daddy, I'll be a striker, I'll be deadly round the box. I'll win the treble, conquer Europe, and score the winner at Ibrox." He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. He goes pushing through the turnstiles with the old man by his side. He hears stories of Brother Walford and the day John Thompson died, of Tully and of Johnson and of Caesar and Jock Stein. And being captain in the hut would always be his childhood dream. But time had moved so quickly, and his dreams are way back when. And the old man's seat sits empty. They say he died stop in the 10. He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. Now his own son stands beside him, and among the sea of green, he shows promise with the football, and he grows to live the dream. Come his granddad's anniversary, he's Captain Derby Day. He issues orders to the huddle, wearing the number of McStay. The crowd, they roar around him as the ball comes to his feet. He drops his shoulder like McCourt, and only the keeper now to beat. Runs to the old jungle, his finger pointed to the skies. Pumps his fist towards an old mine, and there's tears in both their eyes. Now he's a boy, 'cause he'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy. He always wanted to be a boy, like Tommy Burns in the big road.